Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world. Welcome to tradertv.live. We're seeing North American stock futures back in positive territory once again this morning. Record high territory for that fact as we look to extend gains from last week right across the board. We had positive showing right across the board for U.S. markets last week. Sentiment getting a little bit of a boost this morning. Obviously, the FDA coming out on Sunday, giving emergency use authorization to convalescent plasma for hospitalized COVID-19 patients. We will be saying that quite a few times, I suspect, coming up this morning. So convalescent plasma treatment for COVID-19 patients, sending some individual small cap pharma stocks to the upside this morning. We'll talk about those coming up. Apple shares also on watch this morning, back in record high territory. Today is the day of record for Apple shareholders to participate in the split coming up at the end of the month, the 4-for-1 stock split we talked about last week. We're also watching travel stocks back to the upside this morning. Anytime there's positive data or positive momentum as far as some sort of solution as far as the virus is concerned, the travel group ones to watch as well. It's Monday, August 24th, 2020. TraderTV.live starts now. There we go. Look at Asian markets from the overnight session. You can see nicely positive right across the board here. We had Shanghai leading the way. They're almost 3%. Hong Kong nicely higher as well. Let's go over to Europe, see how things are shaping up so far throughout the European landscape. More positive numbers here. Nice look, 1+% top to bottom. We'll shift over to North America and see how futures are looking. As I mentioned, back in positive territory here. 1% for the NASDAQ. Looks like the Dow up there around 1% as well. Here in Toronto, the TSX futures pointing to, 1% to the upside. Brazil's open, 1.09% to the upside. Bitcoin trading higher. We have gold back in positive territory this morning as well. Going to be an interesting morning. Sean is off this week on a much-deserved holiday. Hope he's enjoying himself. Arun joining us all week long in the building for everyone to participate with the futures. We'll get a little bit more of an in-depth look at the futures and how they are traded throughout the session. Arun's going to be joining us, as I mentioned, all week long. Going to be an interesting one this morning, guys. Convalescent. I said convolucent for some reason, but convalescent plasma, all the rage this morning.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Welcome, Arun. It should be a lot of fun this week. I'm glad you keep saying that, Brendan, because I'm going to try to avoid talking about convalescent plasma. We'll just stick to the names. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of movement in that space, and a couple of interesting names which may or may not be directly related are gapping up anyways and trading on significant volume. We're talking also about Apple. Again, just rocket ship to the upside, and that pun I intended because rocket, RKT, also up. So it's upside all over the place. Arun, you got to tell me what's going on in these future markets. I mean, certainly it seems like we're going to have another good week today if you're a long-term investor, and certainly if you're a bull.
Yeah, with the futures breaking past that 3,400, finally taking out a ton of action that we've been working for the last week and a half or so, at least more. Should be a lot of activity as we kind of bounce. If we dip back into that, I'm expecting a lot of support to kind of push this, propel this. You got Apple going, a lot of index stocks that are moving with the market right now. So support is there for this thing to continue on. But back to the convalescent plasma, that is a hot topic. So we'll see. We'll just ride this one out for the rest of the week if this one plays out until we get something new, right? That's how it works for this market, at least.
All right, guys, we'll get going here with a number of names we have to get to, obviously, in the pre-market as far as things moving around. Before we get to the open this morning, let's jump over to the desk first, though, and say good morning to Valeria.
Good morning and hello everyone, welcome to Trader TV Live. Please sign up to our daily free watch list at the link I'm sending on the chat and subscribe to this channel to receive notifications when we are back on air. Guys, please smash the like button and let's get it started. Back to Brandon.
All right, guys, let's have a look at what is coming up a little bit later on in the show. We're going to have another great educational video for you. Top 3 chart patterns the pros use coming up later in the show. So Valeria will have the link for you 11:45, 11:50 area around that time. Stick around for that. Lots of great stuff in there when it comes to chart patterns. Let's also have a look at how traders managed here at Day Trade the World back on Friday. Big numbers, guys. We can jump into it. There we go. Big numbers coming out of the U.S. on Friday. 76,000 out of those markets. You can see more five figures here. NASDAQ in New York as well. 21,000. You got to go all the way down to number 5 before you get to Europe. A little bit of Europe, anyways. Also some U.S. in there. 18,000. So another great day for traders here at Day Trade the World back on Friday. Seems like forever ago, but just a few days ago. Let's have a look at things that are moving around in the pre-market here. Going to start with the airlines. Anytime, as I mentioned, anytime we get some positive movement or positive momentum when it comes to some sort of solution to this virus, we see these travel names getting a bit of a bid. Same story this morning. Right across the board, guys, the group doing quite nicely, to say the least. AAL among the most active. We can have a look at UAL, United. Also, I saw a Dow. There was a separate story we'll touch on in a second here for DAL as well.
No, I just sorry, loving that thumbnail. Of course, we have some fun with these. Hope you guys do as well. You talk about the entire airline space. I'm going to be looking also at the cruise lines, and we'll get to that in a second. Worth noting, American Airlines had some FDA approval of some disinfectant, blah blah blah. So another positive story there for them. I was looking basically at this sort of 1265 to 1270 area, just going back into last week, last couple of days, resistance. It also held that on Wednesday after a huge sell-off. A morning rally. Hopefully we can get something of the same. I wouldn't be surprised if we faded off this news. So how I would go long is particular. It's got to be the break of the 65 area to the top side. Just worth noting, you look here, you get that 70 as well. So, allow it to maybe go through 70 before I pile into too many shares. But I am anticipating a bit of a reversal here. I mean, I already have Sonnet jumping in a bit to the short side of these trades. Just some of these names pulling back. I feel like that could be the opportunity as well. And in that case, I'd need to see it fail in front of that pre-market high. So fail to give me the breakout, and then I would take the short on the way back in. So I'm sort of ambiguous as to which way we go. As long as we got our level here at 65.70 on American, we're good to go.
Yeah, Neil, Neil likes AAL. I actually like UAL as a setup here. On my screen here, I've got 35. You see a lot of this action between 34.20 all the way going up to 35. This is a 60-minute chart, so there's multiple days of activity here on the selling side up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for this thing to pass 35. At that point, we can actually really get a shot at about $1 or so to the upside until we get to 36. So UAL for me, 35 is the first level of resistance. Of course, if it sets up somewhere in this zone, 34.20 all the way up to 35, shorts are open as well on this one.
All right, guys, so Delta, we mentioned, yeah, we had a little bit of a story there as far as AAL was concerned as well, with a cleaner disinfectant that they've been approved to use. Delta, guys, we can throw up my screen here. We'll just have a quick look at this headline. There we go. Delta bringing back more flights across the Atlantic and Pacific in the winter, this coming fall and winter. They're going to double their current schedule for transatlantic and trans-Pacific flights as well. So another little catalyst there for Delta. Let's move on to the cruise operators. We talked about travel names getting a boost. These are included, all of them in positive territory, anywhere from about 3.5% to 4.5% to the upside this morning, guys. No individual news specific, but just as a group moving higher. RCL, CCL, NCLH, the big three.
Yeah, we always try to come back to these eventually, and now that you get, the bump, whether it comes to fast-tracking this potential vaccine, which I think we'll get to that in a little bit of a second because it's a little bit misleading for some people. But I think CCL, you get this little, Wednesday action, and this was the same thing you just saw in the airlines. You got the bump up and then selling right off. The difference here is Carnival is gapping into that high from Wednesday up, that 15 area up at the top. So you're really looking, for me, if you like the bullish play here, are there some pullbacks? Can we hold this 15 area? That's going to be the key. I'd much rather play breaks. To me, in the airlines, I like to set up a little bit better. Both Arun and I were showing you some breakout potential on the lower end of the range in America and United, whereas Carnival in this situation, it might be okay for the fade trade, I think, if we fail the 1540, but I'd much prefer the breakout in American Airlines. I might take a shot at it for smaller size through that 1540 top. I'd much prefer to be buying any kind of a dip if there's a secondary push, however.
Yeah, if you're looking at transportation stocks, again, I prefer the airlines. I agree with Neil on this one. these cruise lines, the charts are too congested for me to figure out what to do with them. So as you can see, this is a 60-minute chart going back at least 4 or 5 days now, and they're all in the same range. I don't know what to make of this chart. So I'm going to stay away from this one. I'm going to focus on the airlines if I'm looking for travel stocks, and we're going to find some other breakouts as well there, Brendan.
All right, guys, let's go to Apple. We saw that really impressive intraday move on Tesla shares back on Thursday last week on the day of record before their stock split coming up on the 31st. So today is the day for Apple, already up 3+% here, 3.3% for Apple shares on the day. Record high territory for Apple, obviously. Again, so 31st, the stock will start trading 4 to 1. Today is the day for shareholders to be on record, guys.
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at the chart of last week because it's nice and fun to see. We're just moseying along rather nicely, and we break out through 470, and it just got absolutely insane on Friday after that. So to see a gap through 500 as opposed to, sort of getting that clean break opportunity, yeah, whatever. You missed out on that even dollar trade, and we saw how good some of the breaks were on Tesla, obviously. But we have an opportunity here where maybe this is going to get a little bit overheated. Yes, it's a data record. It doesn't really matter that much. It could give you a dip buy opportunity. I think that's what you're doing here. You're just looking for level breaks. You're looking for dip buys. I got 506 and 500. If this does come in any way, right now the break gives you like 515, 50, and that's the high day. I'll probably be staying away from that one. I mentioned this before. Dip buys off the open have been pretty solid on Apple. If you just want to look at what happened, on Friday, there was a bit of a sell into like the first resistance, which was at 476. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that same thing play out today, where the best opportunity might be something into like 506 or 510, and then we go from there.
Yeah, Apple, I really like that 506. We keep printing down there in the pre-market with some, I'm not sure what the size on the prints are, but they are in that range there. So 506 is an area to keep an eye on. The thing with Apple is all the indexes are breaking out, and everyone's trying to get into the Apple door before it closes, right? Tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting after the door has closed and everyone decides what to do with their positions at that point. So today, again, I'm looking at 506. I like the gap all the way down to 500. I don't want to short below 500 given what we got down at 498. So 506 is the area for me. If we can get a dip down there, I agree with Neil, dip buy on this one there.
All right, guys, let's go to SPAC world. There's a new SPAC today. GMHI is the ticker on NASDAQ. Trading up 10%. Wow, we came off quite significantly there while I was watching it in the pre-market, but right back towards the high. Gore's Metropolis, the latest EV startup or EV-related startup. This is an autonomous vehicle company, so they develop the software for autonomous vehicles. They're based in California. Luminar Technologies is going to go public through merger with Gore's Metropolis. So GMHI, the ticker now, once the deal closes, it will shift to another ticker. I'll double check on that. Didn't get that actually. $3.4 billion valuation on this deal, guys.
So, not my words, paraphrasing Elon Musk, he actually said that this technology was unnecessary. You don't need to put a bunch of lasers around. You just need cameras for autonomous driving. The industry kind of seems to be going the other way, and I think that's Luminar is the leader here, so I think that's why there's a little positivity. In terms of trading these SPACs, we have seen this before where, it might not be super, super exciting the first couple of days before you get a breakout. I actually really like the setup down here, and I'll sort of give you a better look here, looking at the daily chart. We did have a big move up, but then it's kind of giving you a pullback into some of this previous resistance range, when this was all speculation talk. And 1150 was certainly looking like a level for a potential break. It's pulling back into that price after some heated pre-market action on decent volume. I mean, it's really tapered off, but it is still over 2 million. I'd look to see if we can't hold this area here at 1150, maybe all the way down to like 1100 for just a hold buy in front of the even dollar in case there's a bit of a breakout. I'd look at that break. And maybe call it that 1175 area and take a small position there. But I'd almost prefer to not chase it too far. It does feel like it's not too hyperactive. And I saw what happened in SPAC, not the SPAC, but SPAQ, and that was very, very muted when we expected it to be fireworks. And it was more of a small scalp trade and a range trade than a breakout.
Yeah, this one has done its move already. It seems like pre-market, at least in terms of volatility. Now it's kind of basing out here. I'm setting the edges 12 even on the top, 11 even on the bottom. If we get a breakout on either end, we really have a chance to test either edge. So between 1170 and going to 12, I am seeing some selling here. So 12 even on the top end, 11 even on the bottom end. Breakout on either side opens up a trade there.
I think it's worth saying, guys, on that one specifically, need to see some volume coming in. The last one that we saw, that SHLL, as soon as it was announced 2-3 days after the fact, just kind of died off. Wasn't really worth looking at. But if there's volume there, definitely worth a look. Neo shares definitely worth a look as well. Big move up on Friday. We saw this huge rally right out of the gates on Friday morning, went straight to upside about $1.50. They announced last week that battery as a service company, so they're creating a new arm of the business, leasing batteries back to vehicle owners in an effort to reduce the overall cost of the car. So we're kind of opening, this was that huge move up on Friday. We're opening right at these highs, guys, around this 1450 once again.
Yeah, 1460 current high. You go back to the 18th, 1470 hard turn at that price. You're just going a little bit further back in the 3 minutes. So, this looks like a really, really serious potential breakthrough. You can call it 60, 70 as well. I think might be a very, very key price. I would certainly take some profit just in case there's a quick failure if it ever took out this pre-market high. Granted, we're trading maybe like 10 cents away from it, and certainly, if it does fall back through that 1450 mark, wow, you probably are waiting until 14 for some support. So, if you have the breakout, which I'm going to, through 60 and through 70, I really think you have to keep in mind where your out is going to be and realize that dip buying has been pretty good, solid strategy as well. You don't put all your eggs in one basket, but I'm going to have the break through the top. If it does fail, I'll probably take at least one more shot. It's likely to be if it makes a bottom at 14 even, but we've seen Neo run before. Target will be 15. Hopefully get that one off the open.
Yeah, for me, I'm setting the edge at 1470 on the top end. I do like this area that we're in, though. If we break below 1435, I'd like to short with 1470 as a stop, and we really can make a move down towards 14 even. So 1470 is the level I'm looking at, and 1435 is the downside break I'm willing to take inside of this zone, given where we're at there.
Okay, let's go to AstraZeneca, guys. A little more virus-related news this morning. AstraZeneca, there's rumors floating around that the White House and the FDA may fast-track AstraZeneca's potential COVID-19 vaccine currently being worked on over at Oxford University, and FDA might give it emergency use authorization as soon as November, ahead of the election they were talking about. So AstraZeneca getting a nice little pop on that news this morning, up more than 3%. But we're still kind of stuck in this range over here on the daily chart, guys.
Yeah, 58.20, 58 to 58.25 is sort of the top end of that range you're mentioning, Brendan. Worth sort of noting here, I mean, that trial, the study that they're doing over in England, 10,000 patients, so it technically will probably have results faster than what you would see for like the Pfizer study or the Moderna one, which means they could get approval over there quicker than here, and then that's sort of what the case would be. If that would happen, would you give the emergency use in the U.S. because you got an approval in a country which we would obviously have some confidence in over in England? So yes, fast track, but I think this actually is a little bit more positive than most people might make it out to be. All that said, I always fade these if I get a chance. It's COVID news. It goes to the upside and then gives you a gap down. Now, we're about to test a 57.50 break. I don't usually love these in pre-market. The other play would be shorting in front of this lower high or the actual high here at 58 even. It's only 3%. I think that's what will temper my expectations a little bit. But the other thing would be 500,000 shares in volume in AstraZeneca. It does trade heavily over in Europe as well. So you're trading on the secondary market. Both those reasons, could be enough to have a smaller position. But if 57.50 goes, I'll have to take a quick little shot here. Also take a shot in front of that 58 top.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to stay away from this one. I'm going to mark my bottom end at 56.90. I don't like the fact that it gapped above this multi-day top around the 57.20 area. As we're coming back into it, I'm going to stay away from that. If anything, if we set up around this 57.30 going down into this 57 even, I'd like to step into a long and put the 56.90 as a stop. We're going back to what days is maybe the 12th. The high on the 12th, the high on the 18th, the high on the 19th, they're all in the same area. That makes me kind of stay away from this for now. But I will look for some longs if we can get inside that zone there.
I want to make sure we get to rocket companies here, guys. We mentioned it briefly there, but also have to talk about this whole group of convalescent plasma-related stocks moving this morning. So let's touch on Rocket here, extending this week-long rally. We had earnings beginning of last week. Earnings were better than expected. The stock's been on a tear ever since then. If you look at the daily chart here, I mean, straight to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is now the 5th day in a row We're opening higher and trading higher here, up 11%, guys, for RKT.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna look at the 28.60 off the open. I don't think we're gonna get that price. Maybe we will on a pullback because 29 just turned around just a tiny little bit here. So I'm gonna continue to play breakouts and rocket. Although the best trade I've had in this one in a while was picking some up. It flushed some people out off the open and then caught it on a bit of a dip. I like the 29 break. I'm gonna have it. It is what it is. I had seen, just worth noting, I don't really see it here, but I did see a rather large order for the open, about 1 million shares on the sell side. I don't see it anymore, and I do see a bit of a buy imbalance on Rocket. It was like 600,000 shares the last I checked. We'll update that just before the open to make sure everything is kosher. But 29 even break, yeah, I'm going to take you Rocket. I'll also look to see if it holds support at 28 at some point, but I won't be shorting this one today.
You know, for me, this is one of those things where technically this stock is gone completely. I've missed the boat. I don't know how to trade this, so I'm going to stay away from this. This rocket is technically a rocket, so I don't know how to play this. I'm going to leave this up to Neil to try to figure something out there, but I'm going to focus on other things while this something continues to go.
All right, guys, so we've been used to having the virus-related or vaccine-related group of pharma stocks to trade to the upside. Typically, anytime there's news following this FDA announcement yesterday on convalescent plasma treatment, there's now a whole new group of stocks moving on that news. So KMDA, the one I was looking at here early on to the upside, there's KMDA, there's ADMA, which has done by far the most volume. There's XBIT is another one. There's GFSM as well. A whole group of these things. Just real quick on KMDA, this 1250 up here, an interesting level on the daily chart. Really the top end of the range for the daily chart on KMDA. I mean, guys, we can have a look at ADMA or CERS is another one. Take your pick today.
Yeah, there's going to be so many of them, and sort of a sympathy kind of related play is going to be Sonnet, which I'll get to, hopefully before the open. I do have a short position in Sonnet. KMDA on the daily setup looked the most interesting to me, just sort of having this double 1240s, 1260 top area, and it's actually holding that on the gap up, and I think that's usually a pretty bullish sign. So I'm looking for like a 13 break, but anytime you see this sort of tight consolidation, and I would watch out for the volume here. It's only done 500,000 shares, which considering how in play all of these names are, it's not a ton, but it also means, hey, if it starts squeezing to the upside, some shorts are going to get burned. I'm looking 13 break on KMDA, but this, I'm not going to use 12.17 random price here at the bottom, but if 12 even goes, I'll definitely jump into at least a little bit of a short position to see if it does fill that little gap in on KMDA. That's the one I'm preferring. I do have, and I'll quickly jump here before we go back to you there, Arun. I do have Sonnet to the south side. This one just was selling off all morning long when I sat down. And, I just wanted to jump into the party. I did miss this flush through 420, but it just came back rather nicely, able to get something just in front of 4. It's starting to roll over again. I'd probably take some out in front of 360, then see if it can't recover. Not necessarily all the way to 260, which is Friday's close, but certainly a $3 retracement would not surprise me. I mean, they're not directly in this in the convalescent plasma space, although their products are related to it. So I am short this one, and I am looking at KMDA.
Yeah, I'm also looking at KMDA. I like 1220 on the bottom. What we just did in the last hour or so when we try to take that 1250 and we kind of reject it on the 60-minute chart, that makes me think twice about going long on this stock. So I'll wait until the open, see how this plays out past 13. I'm not going to step into it on the break, but I am very curious to see how this one plays out. But 1220 on the bottom end, if we get through there and we actually start to sell into the 12 evens, this could be a great short back down towards the 10. So I'm just going to keep an eye on this one for now. There's a lot of interest in how this one moves for me. There, Brendan.
All right, Arun, you mentioned at the top there, the market's gone already. I mean, to the upside, 0.8% here. Let's have a look at the overall market as far as the futures are concerned. We're at all-time highs once again, obviously. What are you looking at today?
Yeah, I mean, 3,400 was that big level. This is a 60-minute chart. I'm just going to scroll this one all the way back. This is the 10th of August. You can see how long we spent between 3,380 trying to work into this 3,400. So now that we've finally taken it, and this is gone 20 points past the level, obviously straight up pre-market. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the bottom here at 33.75, which sits just underneath all of this activity on the top end, right? 33.75 is going to be the stop that I'm going to use. Now, right now I have no trade to make. If I was long, I would have been trailing the stop at 34.10. and then looking for a buyback on the dip if we got back into 3,400. 3,400 is the area that I want to step into with 33.75 on the stop. Given how much interest is there, if we take 33.75, this market is in trouble. For the moment, I am looking at the long around 3,400. If it continues on, we're going to have to let this one play itself out. I'm not going to chase the market. I want to see how this one plays out if we keep going. Of course, if we come back in, 3,400 long, 33.75 on the stop.
All right, guys, there's lots to look at, to say the least, in small cap world. I'll give you one more. Just remember this one from last week. GEVO, G-E-V-O. Both Thursday and Friday, just crazy volume on this stock. 200 million, I think it was, or plus, 200 plus million on this day, the first day to the upside. So this is kind of day 3 on this one. With all the other small caps that are in play this morning, this one might not get as much attention. However, we need to be prepared. So this level right here is 144, so 144, 145. Above that, you got to go to the daily chart. This high from way back when is 160, so 144, 145, and then 160 above that for GEVO. Needs to get some volume, though, outside of all those other convalescent plasma stocks. Guys.
There it is. And, speaking of, convalescent plasma, saw it back up through 4 even, but Rocket does break 29 even. It just sort of came back in. I didn't want this one before the open. We've talked about this pre-market trading in some names, and it gets a little bit thin over there. In Rocket, it is still a bit of a rocket ship, and maybe the pullback trade will shake some people out, and we can get something closer to 28 even. But however, I did get into NIO. NEO just took the top off. The first top. I also remember. We kind of like that 1270 as well here, guys. We got to pay attention to that. I would definitely scalp some of this out in front of 70s, 1470, I should have said, because I am going to go long to a 1470 break, which I like actually a little bit more. We went to the 3-minute to show you about a week and a half ago why that level has some significance for us. So 1270 would be a secondary play. Taking a little bit of NEO here is Rocket now back below that 29. So I don't necessarily love those breaks at this time of day. So much to get to, so much to watch here, guys. Obviously, as you are noting, I'm joined by Arun today, so we get that look on the futures, which I know some of you guys are excited to see. I do want to jump back to the airlines just before the open. We've recapped NEO, sliding towards the downside here. So as much as I like the top break on American, we just fell another 10, 15 pennies, getting us away from that potential breakout through the high of the day there. So American will file that one away. NEO we just got into here. And I still have that sauna, but it's coming against me a little bit here. GEVO, I like that look, Brendan. I kind of forgot about that name, which you should never want to do. Arun, you in anything right now? I see a little bit flat positions. Are you looking at the airline play as well?
I am looking at the airlines. The one thing is, though, my screen shows me long Siri. The only reason I'm long Siri is we're just testing stuff out on the technical side here. So ignore that. That's something that was supposed to be in and out, and I chose to kind of hold on to. So that is not an actual trade. That's just for us to kind of figure out our technical side. Something that I'm going to keep an eye on is, where is this one here? BABA. BABA is just acting crazy here. This is a lot of activity on the BABA. Let me just pull up the 60-minute chart for you guys here. 272. Given how much we've gapped, ignore this big tail here. That's just a pre-market off print. 272. That's how much of a low we've put in the pre-market. I really like that as a level. Of course, if it breaks to the top, we got the long going up as well. 272 though, if we can get through that, I like the long or the short all the way down to this 268 area into that 267 area, 267 half area from the Friday highs. So 272 on the break, that's what I'm keeping an eye on for now. There's not a whole lot, especially when this market has taken off this fast, pre-market. A lot of these are gaps. I'm just kind of squeezing and trying to find some technical setups that are still valid. A lot of them are kind of sitting in between a range. Something I'm keeping an eye on is TDOC as well. Let me just pull that up for you guys.
Yeah, I like Teledoc.
Yeah, let me just pull that up here. TDOC, I like TDOC between 227.50 and 222 even. 222 even, this allows you to kind of breach into this 220 even level. So you got $2 on the downside. Of course, the 227.50, that gives you a much bigger upside. So if we can get that 227.50, it is $2 away right now. If we can get that break, we can really take a shot at 230 even on that one. I really like that as a setup technically for the moment there, Neil.
Yeah, I just saw Rocket dip back below this 29. I'm going to take a quick little shot here. Not a huge position, but just first in front of the original breakout that was like 28.60 or so. If I can pick some shares up in front of that, I'm going to go ahead and do it, which I just did in the 80s. I believe Valeria is on the bell, so our Monday morning is ready to go. We're going to drop this countdown for you. Got some Rocket finally. It's up 11%. Just bought a bit of a dip, but 7 and 6. And Sonnet took some out, but watch out for 460. That's the next level to the upside that we got to play off of. 2 and 1. Market is open. Couple of quick long positions already. Of course, we talked about NEO. I got that one at 60. It's just basically holding flat. We're going to buy some Rocket on a bit of a dip, but I also want to make sure we're watching Apple off of the open. We know this is going to be a big time runner, but the first move is slightly to the downside. We're looking at 10s and 06s to pick some up on any kind of a dip if we can get it. Sonnet trying to roll over. If that rolls here, I'm going to see if we can't get some more to the short side. I did take some off because it's the pre-market and you want to limit your downside risk. But whoa, Rocket on a crazy pullback. Got to get you guys to that one. Rocket already pulling back hard into 28. That's going to be that level. If it can't hold 28, I mean, Rocket, I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but 28 even, that was that sort of hope and a dream price. And if it's going to give it to me, oh boy, I got to take it.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what to do with this market here. I got AMD breaking out a break, not even a technical breakout. It was just consolidating. It took out 84.65. I'm keeping an eye on AMD, not exactly 84.65, but I do like it at short on 83.50 down through the bottom here. We are just kind of moving fast on AMD, so that's something I'm going to keep an eye on as well. BABA, going back to BABA does keep going up, so I'm going to wait on that one. But I am still looking for that short there below 272. We are kind of going sideways at the moment. I thought we were going up for a bit there. If we can get back below 272, we really have a shot again. But we are consolidating at the top there towards 274. So all you guys that like to scalp, that could be a quick shot there on 274 on the break there. The other
guys,
one,
I'm going to get to KMD in a quick second. Just to interrupt you, Arun, but watch out for a KMDA. Immediately tested 13, turning a dime. I still have that order to stop long through the 13 even high, but it just turned heavily off that price, which will now make me go short in front of it if it pulls back with a reversal to the long side. Sonnet was able to pick some back up into the teens. So first trade a loser there, but if it breaks through 4, we'll start taking some out. Neo's not really doing anything, but KMDA, watch out for that 13 level off of the top. We're going to like this one if it breaks.
yeah, you know, one I'm really close to getting into here. Let me pull it up for you guys. Is Uber. If we can take out 30.70, I think we really have a quick shot. It's going to be a really quick trade there. 30.70 going down to 30.40. It's going to be a 30-cent target here. If we can stay below 30.70, the stop I would use about 85. So I'm going to risk about 15 cents to make about 30 cents. It's going to be a really quick shot on that one there. There's not going to be one of those breakout holds that I kind of lean towards doing in this case. And HARP, H-A-R-P, guys. H-A-R-P is also moving right now. That one I was keeping an eye on. What's the level here? 17 even. I was looking for a break on the upside on HARP. We are going to the downside. So 14 even is the level to keep an eye on HARP. So we're moving there. And where's Uber? Uber is very closer and closer towards that 30.70 area. So just keep an eye out. If we can get through 30.70, 30-cent target, 15-cent risk, that's the way to go on Uber at the moment.
Arun, market, I saw the ES dropping a little bit. We got the break in NEO. Of course, we talked about this one through 1460 and through 1470. I do take some 60s out at 68. I then go long when 70 breaks. We talked about both of those levels. I'll double tap out some of these near the top here. Temporary top, 1485, 86. I want to ride this into the 15 even break. We like NEO for the breakout. I would have taken a dip buy if it happened, which I've done in Rocket right here. My price in Rocket's 55s. It's trading at 40, but it's got to hold that 28 area. But nice little trade here in NEO to the upside. Let's see if we can't buy some more in a pullback and get a secondary push. Brennan, what do you got?
XSPA, guys, that Express Spa group we've been looking at over the past couple of weeks or so. Also virus related here, still holding below 3, but we were above 3 here. They updated their time frame for testing. So if you remember, this is the company that set up facilities in airport terminals to test passengers that are coming off planes. Apparently, they can have a test done round trip in under 15 minutes, guys.
Yeah, and we're continuing to head to the upside over here on NEO. I'm supposed to do this if I come out of Brendan with a winning trade. And we'll take some out. Look, I just took some out at 90s. I'll show you the level 2. Bit of a seller there. I just want to join this party. ready and locked and loaded. I got 72s, only the 70 break we have left. I'm going to try to hold some through a 15 break. I was still looking for a dip, but I also have to get you guys back over, and I hate to do this while Neil's a runner, but Rocket, we got the dip buy. Go small before the market opened, guys, and then dig in a little bit heavier as we get that long in front of the dip at 28. I did mention that I really, really like the dip buy opportunity, and there goes rocket ship again. So I got shares at 28.50 as an average price. We're taking some out on the north side of 29. So quick 50 to 60 cent win overall on Rocket. Look, this one is the gift that keeps on giving. I'm not going to fight this stock. I got half out. I want to see if we can hold half of this trade through a 29.33, it looks like, top. If we want to continue to go topside, I'm not fighting Rocket. I'm not hunting for the short either. I'm looking at 29.30 high. If we can hold through that break, fantastic. Same thing on Neo through 15 even, if we can get it. And Sonnet starting to roll over. So we are not going to be 3 for 3 because I did lose on my initial Sonnet short. Got very, very greedy here, not taking any out right before the open. I dip some of this out. I get back in on the way down, not on the way up. And I'm going to start taking it off on the south side of 4 even. My price, 417. Everything's a nice little winner here. Brennan, what do you got?
Rocket, guys, highs, new day highs. That means all-time highs for RKT. Just got RKT on a volume alert there, guys.
Yeah, it's a volume alert. It's also a net alert. We'll go with the cash cow because why not? I just took some out in 46 on Rocket. That'll be an over $1 winner, and I'm still holding about a third of the position here now. It's all about the dip buy. We talked about 28. The second it really started holding that price, we double dipped and got some more shares to the long side. Sonnet breaks $4 down, so we'll start covering that one. We did take a hit shorting it the first time through. Now we're profiting. It's the first real pullback happening right now in Rocket, and that's only down to like 29.30. I got a 66 high. I'm not going with a trailing stop here. I think I'm just going to play off of this 28 to 28.20 level every chance I can. I've already taken the bulk of my profits here. No reason not to hold on for the bigger win. We got a nice one here in Rocket and Neo, but Neo's starting to pull back off 15 even.
Okay, so a couple of trades that I'm keeping an eye on right now. LI, I don't know the actual name of the stock. I'm bidding down here at 1605 or in front of that area, the 16 even break. This happened very quickly. I was not paying attention, so I'm trying to catch it on the way back down. Yeah, let me just pull up the 60-minute chart for you guys so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. This breakout, consolidation breakout, going towards that 1680. I really liked it, so I'm bidding here there. What do you got, Brandon?
Lee Auto. Yeah, good look on Lee Auto there. LI, guys. Baba here. My daily chart is not working for some reason, but Alibaba, guys, with an upgrade today. This is all-time highs for Baba, guys.
Wow. And you know what? Sometimes we line them up, we knock them down. But more importantly, these are all names on the watch list so you can see the winners on. I talked about Neo. This was on the list. This is one of the reasons why you want to sign up for that watch list and go over the names with us. Gave you the breaks and the target to the upside here at 15. Unfortunately, I missed this opportunity to get some out at 95, which I certainly should have. A little bit slow on the keys for me. But we're holding the high end of this trade. And I think for me, at this point, I will go with a break-even stop. And of course, the second push was through 1470. If we retake 70, I will be out of Neo. Otherwise, let's hold on, take some more out, maybe a little bit in front of 15, and then look for a break through 15 even on NIO. It's a strong move to the upside. I'll get over to Sonnet, which is now below 390 and continuing to fall. I think we can get down to 360 or so on that trade. But Neo, let's get that secondary push. Brendan, what do you got?
AstraZeneca, guys, back to pre-market highs here. 57.80, and then watch this 58 up here on the daily chart. So 57.80 to 58 going to be significant for AZN, up 4% now, guys.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, there, Neil, I got a couple positions that I just finally took there. So LI, I got that long on LI at 1605. It is 20 cents in the money now. I'm not rushing to get out here. Again, the top that I'm looking for around 75 to 80. That's the first target there. We're going to let this one ride out. 1520 is your stop there on that one. So we're going to put about 80 cents in risk. We're trying to make 80 cents on the way up as we play this one. Uber, I got that short just underneath 70. I like the fact that we actually try to bounce in front of 70, so that gives me more confidence with this short. 90 is a stop. I moved it slightly, so the risk on this is now about 20 cents or so past this, going up to 30.90. Target is still 30.40. We're still going to make more than 1-to-1 on the risk-reward ratio there. I'm keeping an eye on HARP. HARP is moving towards that 14 even, 13.80 level, so if we can kind of get underneath and sit, I'm not going to take the break. I don't like the fact that we're kind of hesitating here going back to the 10th, 11th, and 12th of August. There's a little bit of action here I'm worried about. I won't take the break, but if we can get underneath and settle in, I'll step in and put the short in and put $1 on the risk and let this one try to play itself back down to 12.20. So there's a lot moving there. And the other one, SRNE, this I didn't have this on my radar. It kind of moved very quickly. But I do like the fact that we broke through this 10 and kind of settled in there. So if we can get back into the 950, I'll take the short there with 1050 on the stop, $1 on the risk. Of course, I'm looking for the target to be about 8 to 750. So we're trying to make about $2 in risk, $2 on the profit there by risking $1 if we can get back into 950 on SRNE.
There you go. And we'll go with the backflip, and why not? We talked about 15 even on NEO. It makes another test of that price. Like I said, I will take some out, and I just did at 94s. I'm still holding a 72 long. We took a break first, at 1460, then a 1470 break to the upside, and I will hold some of this through 15, maybe even add to my position by taking a break through that price. I still have Rocket. Where are we right now on Rocket? I mean, we're about $1 in the money, worth going back to this one. It is holding the top right now. That 29.66 has been held. I do have most of it out here. We're going to hang on to see if we can't get another test of that high. I have a break-even stop on Rocket. Brendan, what do you got for us, buddy?
Vaccine-related name, guys. Novavax here. NVAX. This one's been very volatile over the past little while. You remember these 2 down days we had way back when? Huge moves, $10 plus moves. Already down 134 to 118 on NVAX, 13%, guys.
Wow. And I mean, that's a name that normally I'd be all over, but today it's really about the Cova plasma names, and we'll stick with those to be sure. I think certainly Novavax will probably get to in a little bit here. I know it is moving there, Brendan, but my concern right now is lower high being put in Rocket. Now we're holding 29 even. Area of interest would be now 28.85. Now I don't want to stop this out at this point because I'm only holding a quarter of the position. But I think if I still had a lot of shares and I was holding most of my long, I would consider trailing some out and looking for a retest of 28 to get back in. I think it's just worthwhile and prudent. NEO is pulling back, however, and I do want to go with a break-even stop. 1470 here. If it goes through, I'll take the rest of these out. I have an order locked and loaded to break through long at 15. If it does, I'll be certainly celebrating because we got the great long trade on. And I did get KMDA breaking through the bottom at 12 even. We have not talked about Apple yet. It did give you a dip into 510. Of course, we both mentioned, I think 506 we like better. It was very, very quick. You had to be basically sitting down here in front of 510 to catch it. You had to be anticipating it, getting on the way back up. Very, very challenging. I just got trailed out of NEO, so the last 20% will go with a break even on that. Still looking for the top end to maybe go on Apple. That'll be like a 516. Brendan, what do you got?
Relative volume, guys, on some of the retailers today as well. Gap here, GPS up 4+%. Just broke $15 there on a decent volume spike for GPS, guys.
Wow, I wasn't even taking any look at Gap there, to be honest with you. But KMDA, yeah, we're back below that 12, so I should probably get you guys over to this one. You have to understand when you're trading this, it's not your average $12 stock. The range off the open here is about $1.40. So you're not risking 10, 20 cents when you take this trade. You're probably risking a little bit more like 40 or 50 on the lower end. I like this to about like a 12.40 area. And I think the target is very, very close to that previous close of $10 if it does want to come back in here. So KMDA, I got some at $11.91. I did leave myself some room to add to a position. It is a bottom end break. It can be thinly traded at times. I am looking at a spread of 5 to 10 cents every now and then. So do keep that in mind if you're trading this. If you don't have shorts, look, it is what it is. We have them here at Day Trade the World so we can take advantage of it, guys. Brendan, again, what do you got?
Just looking at this last little spike high here on the daily chart for Twitter. But 40.30, so we are above that. But nice look here for Twitter. Not seeing any headlines, guys, but 3.25% to the upside, straight higher off the open there for Twitter as well.
Okay, guys, just a quick update on the positions that I've taken here. Uber, we got that short just underneath 70. You see this thing is about 12 cents in the money. We're still waiting to get below 50 into that 40 area there. So as this bounces, we're just going to let this one play out. We got the breakout that we wanted, so now we're just going to be patient with this and let this thing move. 30.90 is still the stop on that one there. LI is messing around here after coming back underneath 16 even. Now it went as low as just underneath 15.90. Now it's moving back up again. A lot of these trades that I'm going to take are kind of kind of let themselves work themselves out, right? So it's a little more patience than anything with these positions. So these aren't going to be quick shots that I'm going to be taking. Some of them, I'll give you guys a disclaimer if these are going to be quick trades, but more often than not, you're going to be waiting on these ones to work themselves out as we kind of just wait and be patient after taking that, take some trades. I'm also not taking too many trades. And one that's I mentioned earlier is getting closer and closer is HARP. It's getting closer and closer to that 14 even, going down to that 1380 level. I really like this breakout if we can stay underneath. Again, I'm not going to take the 14 even. I want it to settle in, and then I'll step into the short. Of course, BABA has taken off the top, 274 on the break. It's gone fairly high. I don't know if I want to step into this one as we come through 274. I will keep an eye on that area, though. I do think there's some activity there that could help us on a bounce there. So not too sure about BABA just yet, but GMHI getting closer and closer to that 11 even. That break I will take because that's not going to cost me a whole lot. 11 even, 1120 on the stop. If we can get it down to that 1075, it's 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio, at least 1-to-1. So I'll take that shot if we can get that breakout there on the bottom there. What do you got, Neil?
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the dance, and look, it's the only thing I can think of to do when you get a dip buy like this in Rocket. Down at 28.30, we double dipped it here. I just took the last of my shares out at 29.69, so a turnaround in front of 30, like went to 96. I get out on the way back in, get over $1.50 winner in the last bit of shares there. I like 30 if it's gonna be a break anyways, but I also wanna get over to what was a fantastic look to the south side the second time through. When we talk about holding off, pre-market trade's going to be a loser, and I don't know why I was so confident in it there, but the second one on the way back in, we grabbed 420s, takes them out after 4 breaks. I just got a few more shares out of 375, so we make back what we lost on Sonnet. Probably a bit reckless getting in there early. Now I want to see if I can hold this through a 360 break, and that'd give us over a 50-60 cent win on Sonnet. Could go all the way to like a 320 if we get a break through 360 here. Brennan, what do you got?
BILI up 6.5%, coming up to 48, which is kind of the last line in the sand here on the daily chart. And there we go. It just blew right through it for BILI. So decent volume, nice move for BILI, guys.
Billy, why not? I got to get to we talked about the airlines. We talked about Carnival. We talked about the cruise ships. You know, ultimately, kind of said that I was thinking about fading Carnival. I did not do that. I was obviously busy trading some other names, guys, but 15 even, hard break as we come back in on CCL here. I'm just sort of noting the NASDAQ actually just got back above that, 11.7 mark to the upside. Well, the ES kind of fading, trying to get up, but it's really starting to fail here. And I think, I want to be looking at some of these short opportunities. It could be Carnival back up through like a 15 area, but I'm going to try and stay away from that. I want to be on aboard this train of Rocket. I want to get over to Shill, which we haven't had yet. And I know, Brennan, you were looking at GEVO. We just thank you very much, Psy Guy. I actually neglected GEVO all morning long here. GEVO, sorry. Mostly because there's simply too many names for me to be trading. It's not too big of a break, but it is a top-end break on GEVO. I previously liked 140 on there, and I don't like breaks when they're like, just in front of a resistance point that's key. Just got AstraZeneca into the short side, so that took the bottom off as well. We're now short, 57.34. Brendan, what do you got?
One from the solar group here on the run, guys. Running. Sunrun, 4% to the upside. 49.50 was all-time high, so it took that out right off the bat. We're above $50 now for Sunrun, RUN. Guys.
Okay, guys, I just stepped into NEO. Well, I didn't step into NEO. I tried to put a bid down on NEO. It didn't get the fill. It actually took out that 1470 area that I marked off earlier. I think me and Neil both talked about this area. I didn't see it happen, so I missed the run, but I still like this technical breakout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bid in there. I will catch it on the way back down. We got fairly close on that draw, on that push down there. Bounce right off, but I'm going to leave the order there. I want 1470 on the breakout there. 1435 is going to be a stop for that trade. We're going to be patient with this one. Uber is getting closer and closer, but it keeps bouncing off this 50. I'm a little concerned. If we get above 65, I'm going to cut this trade and walk away from it. This was meant to be one of those quick 30-cent trades for a 15-cent risk, but it has started to hesitate, so I'm going to be a little concerned of this. Trailing stop has now gone to 30.65 or so. It's going to be about 2-3 cents in a win if it actually goes. And look at this one. LI finally starting to move off that 16 even now. It is up 25 cents in the money. We got 16.05 on the long, 15.20 on the stop there. That is about 25 cents in the money. We're going to let this one go. Again, the target up there is all the way up here at 75. That's the first target. We're just going to let this one play itself after that. Of course, if it starts to hesitate, if it starts to do something that I don't like in terms of movement, I will cut this trade. But for now, I like what it's doing. It's moving up cleanly. It bounced right off the area that I was hoping that, or looking forward, not hoping. I was looking forward to that bounce because there was activity there. So 16 even long. We're moving towards 1630, 1675 is the target. Of course, NEO just keeps on going there. 1470. 70 break, not giving me a chance to get back in or get in because I missed the trade. So again, I'll leave the order. If it takes an hour or so to come back and fill me, I'm okay with that too because I do like that area on the breakout. So that's perfectly fine there. And what do we got? GMHI is getting closer and closer there. So we're going to be patient with this one as we get closer. Brendan, you got anything?
Back to the upside here for Shill, guys. SHLL, that Tortoise acquisition. This is the Helion SPAC, so SPAQ. And then we have SHLL. There was that new one we were talking about today. 12%. Look at the daily chart on this thing. $20 up to 34 in a straight line now for SHLL, guys.
You know what we do if we come out of Brennan and into a winner. I love that camera look. Good luck. Good job there, Rob. But actually, no, it looks like it's Lucas and other Rob. But we took AstraZeneca on the break of the low. We talked about fading some of this vaccine news. We kind of always do it here. Yeah, should we have done it off the high of the day? Fair enough, but Rocket was a better trade, and that was where you wanted to put your money at 930. We did take the bottom end break here at 57.35. I got 34s. I do scalp some out on the way down in front of 57 even. If that breaks, and I'm talking about 57 even, we talk about the range-bound trade here, so temper your expectations. I think there'd be definite support down at 56, but I might take a small position. Adding to this at 57, we have 34s. I'd add at 57, like I just mentioned. Sonnet, I kind of feel like we could be starting to get close to support on Sonnet. Again, I'm going to be only short, likely below $5 on this name. But this 360 from the pre-market is trying to hold a second time. One of the ways that I can go around this is I could cover everything here, get all out for a nice little 50 to 60 cent win, and then just take a break of 360. I'm not gonna do that. I actually like the opportunity here to hang on to what we have. I might miss that trade if I try to catch the break. I don't want to do that. I think we can short this one again in front of $4. If it does give me a pullback, I'll be all over it, guys. But I want to get you guys. I see a couple of people talking about Apple over there, and we're not neglecting Apple. It's just that, wow. Finally, 506 starting to come in. I was about to say it hadn't come down to our level. Yeah, we talked about a dip buy over here, and gonna have to put that money where the mouth is if we get a bounce off 506. That was the area we wanted to test in the pre-market, and it's getting there rather close. Of course, today, the date of record for that split. It becomes effective at the end of the month, much like Tesla. Apple being sold here, but still up 2% on the session. We closed below 500, guys. So lots of room to still run here on Apple if it does want to pull back further. 506, the first level, I think, that has to hold around.
Oh man, this TDOC, we completely missed the boat on this one there. TDOC, 222 break. This thing's gone $7 now. I don't know what I was doing. This was a great break for anyone. We didn't mention it off the top there, but that was a great break, and hopefully someone that's watching actually took this trade and paying more attention to it. Brendan, what do you got?
Crazy one from the pre-market here. TCDA down 12%, but this thing's come $1.50 plus off the lows already. Huge volume coming in on the buy side here. They received an FDA response letter to a concern they had as far as this company's kidney disease treatment. So they're developing treatment for kidney disease, but the FDA has put a pause to that. So big move down, but on the way back up here for TCDA, guys.
Yeah, I'm just watching 06 be tested right now. I mean, I did just take a dip buy into Rocket. We talked about that 28 level. I'll take the buy in front of it. Again, 28.30 was a nice little bounce point, so I did take some in the 50s. But right now, all eyes for me on Apple. It's trying to have a bit of a battle here at the pre-market low at 506. It just burst through, so you are seeing it sort of, spread will open up. I want to see it come back up through this range and give me a reason to jump in. I think we finally got it here on Apple, so I will try to take a shot in front of this level. And again, I like trying to catch it on the way back to the upside and then see if it can actually hold this low. But Apple coming right down. The low now looks like 505, maybe 77, so I'd give it to like 505.50 for the first shot. Otherwise, maybe we are headed all the way back down to 500, guys.
Yeah, Uber, I've already cut the position on Uber on that bounce there. I missed the actual 30.65, so I ended up scratching this trade up there. So we went for a ride on this one, got nothing, didn't like the bounce off 30.50. I'm perfectly okay giving that up and getting out of the way on this one. So we'll move away from that, but LI is continuing to kind of creep its way higher and higher. It does keep putting in tails there towards 1650. So I know there's some activity going towards the 1650 area. So I'm gonna be paying more and more attention to this because of the fact that it's hesitating here multiple times. So 1650 is an area that I'm gonna keep an eye on. Of course, if we start to hesitate, maybe I'll get some of this out. I won't get out the entire position. I'm okay holding a loss on the rest of it, but I will start to take some profit if we start to hesitate or continue to hesitate in front of the 1650. Another one I want to keep an eye on, guys, AMD. If we can take out 83.50 on AMD, I like the breakdown. I think we can at least get maybe 75 cents on this one on the breakdown. But given the way it kind of moved up and turned around, I like this turnaround point on the AMD there.
And a quick flush out of Apple right through 505. It's testing the bottoms once again. We'll look for another opportunity to get back in. We're looking for that dip buy off of that 506 area. First shot doesn't work, so we'll have to take the hit on that one for you guys. I got to go back over to Rocket. This is a name that I've probably been the most heavily involved in, and we did just do a bit of a dip buy in this one as well. It's trying to hold a higher low. We did 15 off of the open, and we picked it up on the way back up. It didn't really trade down here. I didn't see this happen at 28.08. I think that's just a dark pool print. So we are still working off a higher low at 28.50. I grabbed 57s to start this second position on Rocket. We've had a couple of nice dip buys into the high of the day. I still will go long if 30 ever gives you a break. This we'll probably take out in like the 29.10, 29.20 range if we can get it. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Another one with Chinese ties here. Bork, BRQS on the NASDAQ. Coming back to the downside, this thing was a lot higher than this. Already halted once as well. They received little teeny tiny microcap software company out of China. They received a $15 million contract and order from a company in India for one of their products. So big move up on that news today, guys.
Okay, so AMD, I was talking about AMD. If we took out 83.50, we kind of worked its way down there. I like the short. I stepped in. I'm going to take the short. I got the short at 83.63 is my entry price. 84.50 is the stop on this one. So as you can see, I'm going to put about 90 cents in risk on this one, on this trade there. On the other hand, LI, I don't like what it's doing, so I'm going to start to take some profit in front of this 30. That's going to give me about 25 cents in profit as I try and take this 28 out. Yeah, we got some out there. So 28 is the exit on that, and we banked some profit. And NIO, we got that fill. Again, this was one of those trades I was going to be kind of stuck into long term if it ever came back in. I'm into it around 72. 1472 is my entry. 1435 is my stop. We're going to let this one play itself. This is definitely going to be one of those long term. It's either going to continue and give me some money or it's going to give me a loss, but I'm okay with that. Given the technical breakout, I like it. So either way it goes, that's perfectly fine. And AMD starting to finally kind of, no, it's not. I thought it was starting to move down a little bit. It is not. LI is also hesitating. And anyone that was holding on to Uber, good for you guys, because this actually finally took out that 50, worked its way down, maybe give you some money there. But I got out. As you can see, I scratched that trade. I didn't like that bounce, so I'm out of the way on that one there. And this GMHI just keeps hovering around this 11. I don't know what to make of this. If it breaks, would it go immediately? That's my concern at this point, given how much time we're spending in front of it. So that's one of those things I'm going to really pay attention to. It is on my radar. I'm paying more and more attention. After that TDOC mess, I am paying more and more attention to these charts on my screen there, so I don't miss any of these opportunities that I keep talking about.
Yeah, I'm just sort of going into the short mode here because we did have that last little buy in Rockets. My top stock still on the day. However, it did just break 28 and then slam back to the upside. That'll stop me out of our second long in that name. AstraZeneca, however, is starting to consolidate around 57. We did anticipate that was a possibility. I think there's a good shot. Liquidity is really good here, so if I wanted to take this one out, of course, we did take that break to the downside for you guys. We're tracing, a little bit of a gap fill. It's only 3% on AstraZeneca, but sort of a free roll whenever we see these come back in off those COVID plays. If it breaks 57, I'm likely getting back into the trade regardless. So I'll probably take it out right here, just bag the slight little win. We'll talk about like a 30 cent or so, just because I really like the even $1.57 break. Thank you very much, Valeria. We got the nice little refill on the coffee, which I definitely did need here. Of course, you are seeing Arun do a fantastic job for us. Filling in for my good friend Sean Katina, 56.99. When that does print on the time and sales here on AstraZeneca, you will see me dip into a bit of a short trade. I am watching the bounce on Rocket. It seems like you can't hold that one down. Breaks 28. right back up to 28.70. It just seems like it recovers from every single dip. Got stopped out, but you have to have an out every single time, guys.
Okay, Apple, we keep talking about that 506 area, but yet I was not paying attention to this break below 506. Now, given that I've already missed the boat on whatever trade that would have developed on that break, we went all the way down to 502. On the bounce back, I am not stepping into this at all. I want to see how this plays out through this 510 area, given that we spent a lot of time above there, especially consolidating back and forth off the open. So if we start to hesitate around this 510, I think 513 is an option for short, but I'm not rushing to get in. The trade on that one was it's gone. For me, it's gone. LI, we banked some profit. It came back down, and it's starting to make its move again towards the 1650. Again, I'm really keeping an eye on this one here. I don't like what's happening in front of 1650, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm moving the trailing stop on the second half to 1590, locking some profit. We've already made 25 cents. If it's going to cost me another 10 cents, I'm okay. I'll net out 15 cents, and we'll make some money on that. But it is starting to move towards 1650 and moving fast now. So that is good for my position at the moment. It is now 40 cents in the money on the second half of the position. I've already locked in 25, and NEO is starting to turn around as well. Well, it's coming back to even. Let's just say that. I'm at 1472 is my entry. It is down at 1469, 2 cents out. It's kind of negligible in this at the current moment. AMD. I might be in trouble on this one there. I got 63 on the breakdown. It is starting to move its way back towards 84. This might end up being a hit there as it's moving towards. It's moving with the market too. You know what I should do? I should actually jump in and make a quick comment on the ES futures.
Yeah, we're heading south. We're heading southbound here, and I did jump to the short side. I wish it had been in some of these tech names, but it is in the retracement COVID plays. We talked about COVID, whatever plasma, KMDA. We took the short through 12 even. First leg out, I did just take some at 1160s, 65s there, so quick 25-cent scalp. We'll look for a 50 break, get some out on the way down to 11 even. We did anticipate there's a chance we get all the way to the previous close, Fridays at 10 o'clock. That would be a fantastic look. I'll be very happy with $1 to $1.50 on the final third of this one, but a nice win in KMDA. We are still headed southbound, of course, in AstraZeneca. That broke 57. I did get more shares in, so a couple of shorts there in both those names, and Sonnet still in the money, so 3 shorts. We've gotten out of the rocket ship to the upside and over into the plasma name southbound retracement. It's 10 o'clock. Let's go to Brendan for Happening Now.
Hey guys, yeah, 10 o'clock. Let's have a look at North American markets. Already 10 o'clock, just like that. Everything in positive territory. Nice look to start the week. This is a futures. We'll have a little bit of a different look this morning. So each indice and index has their own futures contract. So the Dow here, 0.5% to the upside, leading the way so far. S&P 500, 0.8% to the upside. And we saw the tech stocks kind of leading in the pre-market, but have come back a little bit. So 0.6% for the NASDAQ there. That's just the mini contract for the S&P, only 0.6%. The mid caps as well, 0.8% to the upside for the S&P mid caps. Here in Toronto, the TSX is positive. This number is not showing, but it is positive just though. The TSX 60, 0.5%. Down in Brazil, the BOVESPA, 1.14% to the upside for Brazil this morning. Another day. Travel stocks we were talking about in the pre-market. If you joined us at 9 o'clock in the U.S., showing strength on the virus positivity news. Air Canada here in Toronto, the big one, 4% straight higher, gapped up above 16. We're already at 1660 on huge volume as well. Big time relative volume for Air Canada. Some of the retailers here in Canada as well also showing strength. This is Aritzia up 2.8%. Very thinly traded, but worth a look if you want some exposure here in Canada as well for the retail side. Ballard Power had a big move up on Friday. Was watching this one to see if we got another push to the upside, but right back down. It already broke 23 up here, and now we're trading at 21.5. So big reversal after the push higher off the open for Ballard Power, guys. Back to the downside. Back over to you.
Okay, I just want to jump in and make a quick comment on the futures. We are starting to come off these 20s again. If you were long, I mentioned this earlier. If you were long, if I was long, let's just say that. If I was long on this 34 even break, 3400 break, I would have been trailing the stop to 3410. Now that if we get below 3410, I would have cut the trade. I refuse to step in long right here at 34.15 and put a 34.10. I'm looking for the trade down towards 3400 with 33.75. So a move back down actually is very beneficial for the setup that I'm looking for. So I do not mind that at all. At the same time, I do have LI long, and this thing has taken off completely now. This is now 73 cents in the money. We've locked in 25. I moved the trailing stop to 1640. So if we can if in the event that this thing turns around and gets back under that area, around that 1650 area that I was concerned about when we were initially going up there, if we get underneath it, I'm going to get out and walk away from this trade. But right now it is moving. It is moving fast. So 75 cents in the money. We'll let this one play itself out. And AMD starting to turn back around closer. Remember, I'm short at 83.63 with 84.50 on the stop. So we're going to wait for this one. And hopefully, I think the market's starting to slide a little bit more. So if the market actually turns around and goes, this might go with it. And of course, Neo's not helping myself out here.
Brendan, sorry, I keep saying Brendan. Arun there, market heading down. It's mostly the tech space, but also the ES rolling through that 3,400. But to the upside goes American, and we talked about 1270 as the level for the break that I liked, and I was sort of looking at the 3-minute there for you guys to be able to see, all last week, last couple of days at 1270 area. We do take this long. We scalp some out in front of 13 even. I do have some targets in front of that price. I think that'd be a secondary push through there. This is why you want to make sure you're jumping in and getting that watch list, because we kind of go over all these names, and as the market's heading southbound, I have one long that's winning, and it's an American, something we identified as a breakout play. Of course, they had the FDA approval of that, whatever you want to call it. I think it's one of the cleaning product, disinfectant, whatever it might be. And then, of course, you have some bookings going through with Delta. I was looking at LUV last week, but today American Airlines is my favorite play heading into that 13 range. Again, just find whichever one of these stocks that you're most comfortable trading in, because most of them should move in unison. I'm not going to pick and choose with the airlines. I do want to jump back over to AstraZeneca, however. This was a pullback play we liked. I'll take a couple of shots here. First, with a low-end break, opening range break at 35. Quick 20 to 30 cent scalps. Then when 57 goes, we jump in again. It's consolidating, giving us an opportunity for another little 20-cent win here, which I'm going to take. If it rolls over one more time, I'm now looking for 56 even as an ultimate target. Would it fill the entire gap in? Certainly possible when you talk about this retracement play. Whenever there's positive news, vaccine related, it just feels like selling it is the way to go on the first 30 to 40 minutes at the open. Brendan, what do you got?
Seeing any specific headlines. However, what a flush. We haven't talked about this one yet, but a huge flush on Tesla here this morning. Broke 21 there, 2100 that is, off the open. Straight down to 1920. Huge move to the downside for Tesla, guys.
Wow.
I just got one comment on Tesla. I mean, Tesla's moving so crazy. When it comes to stocks, right, there's two ways of trading it. You can either trade the momentum breakout and look for the quick flush as the stocks move, or you can try to read them technically. And from a technical perspective, it's very hard to read Tesla. Tesla's got to be one of those stocks that you just kind of break into, get in, get out. And that's not my style. I know Sean loves that. And I know, Neil, you love that as well. So that's right up your alley there, isn't it?
I mean, it honestly, it really is. It just feels like I'm up to 7 or 8 symbols already, and we're only an hour into the session. It feels like that's a bit heavy for me, and I did take a one and done over in Apple. I have that as my losing stock of the day. It's just hard for me to have been involved in this Tesla because I didn't really have any of these levels breaking to the downside. I mean, you could definitely talk about 2,000 that we've now seen. Worth noting here, this 2008 on the way back up trying to hold. Brennan, what do you got?
A Brainsway Limited, B-Way on the NASDAQ. Man, I wish I saw this one earlier. It held 9 up there just before the open, all the way down to 750 to the downside for B-Way. This is a little tiny company. They've developed a device that helps you quit smoking that has received approval as well. So to the downside, but monster relative volume on B-Way. Guys.
It just feels like this is going to be an exciting week because, I mean, Monday is giving you too many names to look at. I will jump back and I have to review the positions that we have on here. One of them is going to be KMDA. I was trying to get something on this pullback right here, but you can see it failed at 215 or so, trying to get to that pre-market low price. When it rolled over, I was trying to pick up some shares on the way down. The risk when you try to play the momentum and catch a trade on the way down instead of stepping in front of the train is that you might miss out. So I don't get a second ad. I do take some out in the 60 range. It's holding 1150 right now. So we're in the money about 40 pennies or so, looking for that break of 1150 to then take some more shares out in front front of 11. I do think, like I said a couple of times, maybe we can get down to that 10 even mark. AstraZeneca is very similar here, holding a 56.75. I feel like if we can get through there, we can have another home run type idea. Sonnet was the one we've had a couple of times this morning. First look was not good in the pre-market. We talk about this all the time. There is some risk in that pre-market trade. Second short on the way back in, fantastic here at 419. However, this bottom at 360, which we did talk about, starting to definitely hold. I have a break-even stop on this one through 420. At some point, it might be realistic to put it down to 405. Lock-in profit on the last little bit of these shares as it plays a little bit of a range-bound trade, guys. We actually talked a little bit about range-bound trading in one of our last videos. I can tell you this time, coming up, we are dropping, oh, it's the other way. Chart patterns, guys. We talked a little bit about the top 3 chart patterns that pros use. Obviously, it's going to come from our point of view. Look, we do these on our Market Wisdom page. It's all about the knowledge. It's all about educating you guys. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Anything you want us to cover, drop it in the chat. Hit us up on Twitter, whatever you like. We try to get these to you with what you want as opposed to what we like to do and what's enjoyable for us. It's all about that education, guys. All about the chart patterns coming up. So some breakouts. I'm not going to give anything away. You got to tune in, guys.
Okay, so a couple things that I'm keeping an eye on now. Plug just broke that 1260 area, going down. It's all the way down to 1210. I'm actually willing to step in if it bounces up 1260, just in front of 1260. So I'm going to bid around 1255, 1256 or so. And put 1360 on the stop. Of course, I'm risking about $1. I think this can at least give us more than $1 on the way back up there. And also nickel has taken off, so that's something to keep an eye on towards that 39 there. What do you got, Brendan? Or Brendan?
Yeah, here we are. We'll talk about some upgrades and downgrades, guys. Let's have a look at what has been upgraded on this side. Downgrades over there. AMD, yeah, wow. Downgrade, but still going higher. John Deere, a nice look. Had earnings last week on Deere, if you remember. Nice move off the open to the upside. Pinterest, one to the downside that gave a nice opportunity as well. But here's DE. Look at the daily chart, just straight higher for Deere. 3% again today. Nice push through this pre-market high. 203 off the open there. Gave you a pretty good opportunity for DE. The other one, Pinterest, basically a mirror opposite to the downside. 34 down to 32.50 on a downgrade today, guys, for Pinterest. Back over to you.
Thank you, Brendan. I like Pinterest normally, but staying a bit away from it today. I like the long trade usually. Gonna get back over to KMDA. I actually don't have an order out. I'm likely to get out aggressively. We talk about this from time to time on a momentum stock where you might want to get out removing liquidity and not sitting there on the bid. It is rather thinly traded, so you want to see some offers come in. I am looking at that 11.25-ish range to see if we can't get a 60 to 70 cent win on the next third of this position, guys. So it's been a nice run already on KMDA, but I really do think we have an opportunity for more. It does have to try to break through this 1140, bit of an iceberg order that I see on the level 2. This guy's been sitting around for a while here on that ARCA. You just sort of saw there. And what I mean by iceberg is you can see these P prints that come off. That's selling to that 1140, just meaning that it's been broken. So there we go. See how many shares just went off? Just went up more shares than were displayed at 1140. So we do get the break on KMDA. Kamada in the money all this time after that break at 12 even. Nice little trade there. AZN is trying and failing. There we go. Actually not failing. Trying to get through that 56, 75 price range, guys. But I'm going to take some of these shares out there in KMDA and see what, it didn't actually print down to 11, guys. It's never happened. That's a dark pool print. I'll take some shares out in front of that quarter and see if we can't ride anything else on a break, maybe at 11.25, maybe a pullback into 11.65. But KMDA, fantastic look to the south side, and AstraZeneca just broke 75s and went absolutely, positively nowhere. So it is still holding this bottom end range. I could be convinced to get out of the rest of this one and look for a secondary push like we did at 57.
So I'm just going to do a quick update on my positions here, as we got quite a few actually that I'm looking at as well. So AMD, we got 63 on the short. It took us for a ride, 60 cents or so, but the area that I'm looking at held well. So say 84.50 is still the stop. We're still in this long. I'm not dumping this one. I'll take the hit if I need to, but 84.50 is the stop on an 83.63 short. LI is still running. LI is still running, so 1640 is the trailing stop. We're going to leave this one as is. It hasn't moved far enough from this level, the 1650 area, for me to want to change this level. So This one's about 65 cents in the money right now. We'll leave this one be. NEO is not cooperating at all, but I'm okay with 14.35 being the stop. If we need to take the hit, we'll take the hit. And Plug Power, PLUG, I'm sitting in front of this 1260 with the 1360 stop. I mentioned this to you guys a little bit just now. And if this comes back up, I'm okay with taking the short with 1360 on the stop. I've also got an offer out in NKLA. This one moved very quickly, just underneath this 39. We didn't take the break, but I like the setup, so I'll put just in front of 39, 40.50, $1.50 on the stop. $1.50, and we're looking. I think we can get at least $1.50. It's already gone $1.50 from that 39 points, so I know that that's good potential. It's got the ability to move that far. So we'll leave this one as is. And HARP, it is getting closer and closer to that 14 even. Again, 14 even through 1380. I want to see how we react through there. If we can settle in, I like the short. 1460 will be the stop if we can settle in and kind of move with it. So those three I'm keeping an eye on. I've got 3 positions and 3 that I'm keeping an eye on. Of course, AMD, as I mentioned, when I mentioned it, it was get closer towards breaking down. It is not. It is back towards that 84. This one's going to be quite the ride, it seems like. We either going to take that hit or we're going to let this one go. But for the time being, we're going to take that ride that AMD is offering at the moment.
I think, you got something for us there, Brendan?
Yeah, guys, IBIO, one with some distant, far-off ties to convalescent plasma treatment. IBIO has its own vaccine that they're also working on for COVID-19, but through one of their units, fast farming platform, they do develop something similar to convalescent plasma treatment. So IBIO, huge move up here. Buyers coming in just as we speak as well through that day high around 220. Nice look for this one as well, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I look at, you already get that top end break, that pre-market high that we just saw taken out on IBIO. But remember, if you were trading this, and you've been trading this one throughout the sort of pandemic play, it's come off of some big time spikes to the upside. I'd watch out. You look at this 230-ish all the way to like 270 chop area the last time it was in this range and failed through that price. So if we can't get through here and just sort of maybe look at it a little bit better on the 3-minute, if we roll over here, I do like playing off of that 240-ish area. Is the rest of my chart not loading for some reason? If it does roll here, 240 is that little top that I'd be playing off of for a short side retracement play. I still have Sonnet, 40 pennies in the money. Remember, I'm looking for like 60, 70. I think we can get on the rest of that one. But I'm now thinking about shorting IBIO off of that, not 234. Guys, see that in the chart? I'm literally yapping away and not punching short on the stock, talking about liking it off 240, and then it immediately tanks down to $2. That really did happen. I am a chump. I got to find a way to get this on the pullback. It's not 235 I'm looking at, but 240 when we look at the daily chart. That's what I'm going short in front of.
Okay, we're just going to quickly jump over to the futures there because they did a nice little bounce off that 10 area that I thought if you had a position you could trail it with. That's a nice area to keep an eye on. If we break out, I'm going to actually mark off to a 34.10 as a new level that I'm going to work with. Of course, that means if we kind of break out towards the top, settle in, come back in, find some more buying, then that means I step in, put 34.10 on the stop there. That will be the new level that will be declared if we can put a new high in. Of course, AMD is not cooperating with anything that I'm trying to do. But on the upside, NIO has bounced off that level that I was expecting it to bounce off of. So we are now back above 70, going towards that high. So as we can continue this is a nice little check actually. I like this because that means the breakout was validated by this move down and bounce. So in the meantime, we're going to go to Brendan and see what he's got.
Another one to have a look at, apps. Digital Turbine, APPS, big flush off the open this morning as well. This thing was $28, even $29 in the pre-market. We're at $24 now for APPS. Been on an absolute tear if you look at the daily time frame. So overall, in the grand scheme, not a huge pullback, but nice move anyways for APPS, guys.
Apps worth a look. Also worth a look, a big-time volume leader. Actually might be the overall volume leader. Check that on NASDAQ. It's going to be CGIX finally starting to come back in here. You did have a bit of a missed opportunity sort of selling this one in the pre-market off of the open. It is trying to break through. I'm looking at sort of this level here, like an 830-ish range. If it does hold that price, maybe I'd short it on a pop. I finally get IBIO. Chasing a little bit, I have 21s as my entry price. I'd probably take a few more shares in front of 240. I'm using the 240 as the stop instead of 235 that high. We explained that a little bit when I was yapping away. But 830 would be the break price on CGIX, and there it immediately goes. But see, this is the thing. as good as the volume is, look at the liquidity on this stock. It's on 50 million shares, but you are seeing a spread open up. This is why you don't want to get wicked in on a stop order. Everything should be manual if you can and have direct market access on CGIX. I'm looking to see if it tries to retest that 9. Otherwise, it's got to hold below 830. I got to see a seller or some selling jump in before I'd sell it that low. Top break 1050. Yeah, I'd probably play that as breaking the back of some shorts. But IBIO back into the money. I did get another ad there, so 21 and change is my average short price. But watch out for CGIX if it holds below that 8 to 830 mark, guys. Looks like it could be finally coming back in, 200% to the upside. Who knows if it's going to come back, but the sellers need to jump first before I step into the waters.
Okay, so just I'm not sure if this was the question about what charts I have up here. AMD on the top left, we got LI on the middle, NIO on the right-hand side, and the offers that I'm waiting in are PLUG here. I'm waiting in front of 1260 with the 1360 stop. As you can see, this is the purple line here. That's my offer that's pending. And also NKLA, I'm sitting in front of this 39 with a 40 half stop. That's also pending at the moment. And HARP on the right-hand side here, I am actually waiting to see what we do below this 14 even. All of these are 60-minute charts, guys. Actually, no, the positions that I've had pendings on or keeping an eye on are 60-minute charts. The ones that I'm already in are 5-minute charts, except for NEO, which is for me just to kind of get a better view on it. But back to HARP, I'm looking at HARP between 14 even and 1380. I want to see what happens below here. I just want to also keep in mind, actually, I might flip over it right now, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I like that breakout on NVIDIA. The breakout is gone, but the setup now gives you a potential to short as we move back in towards this 510, 512 area with 514 on the stop. So if I start to see this thing hesitate towards this 512 area, I will step into the short, put 514 on the stop, and look for this to go back towards that low, which is around 505. I know it went as low as 502. I wouldn't get that greedy, but towards 505 I like. In the meantime, we're going to just do a quick update on the positions here. AMD is still flirting with that 8420. That's not done anything since the last time I gave you guys an update. LI is actually completely gone sideways at this point. I don't know what's going on here. But consolidation is great for me in this case because it is a breakout. And of course, NEO came back. We're very close to getting filled on plug here as just underneath 1260 with the 1360 stop. I'm okay shorting this on the bounce there. And of course, NKLA in front of 39. What do you got there? Are you trading?
I was actually just looking at Nikola, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I haven't touched it. I see everyone's talking about it. Obviously, there was a sorry, I have Mara up there because I was just having a quick look at that name as well. But Nikola, bit of a bounce off. I mean, I say bit off of 37. It's a full dollar move back to the upside. It's sort of going to a higher time frame, which is a little bit better of a look here. It would seem like Friday's bottom of 39 might provide a bit of trouble as it tries to get back to the upside. So my first look on Nikola might be, and I know some people are bullish here, will be to fade off of 39 if I can. That's probably what I'm going to look at. I need to see it fail at that price before I jump in. I saw someone saying stop shorting some of these stocks. Look, I'm just going to play the price action here. We had a great trade in Rocket. We do pick out some long trades that are good. American Airlines gave me a good break. The first thing I see in this market up to the upside is some of these retracements that have won. And again, look, you don't have to take the trades that we take here. I just like what I see on a lot of these, and IBIO is going to be more of the same. Obviously, I should have had it the first time. There's no question about that. I'm going to take some off in the 15s here as I got that. My best share is in 25, 26. I did chase this a little bit here at 20, some 20s. I would like to see it come back down to 2 even. I obviously should have had shares in the 230 range. That's plain as day as I was talking about the rollover. We got them now, and we'll take a smaller win than anticipated due to my... What's the word I want to use here? Gabbiness. You guys give me a word for talking too much and not trading. But either way, at least we got a break in American Airlines. If you're bullish on something, we talked about the break at 1270 on this. This is why you want to tune into the watch list all morning long, guys, because then you can line them up and you can knock them down. I didn't like too many breakout longs, but AAL was certainly one of them through 1270. You're seeing it trade through 13 here, 40 cents in the money. I'm looking at the quarters. I'll probably trail this one at 13 and then look for pullback buys on American Airlines. It's time for our small cap recap. Let's go to Brendan at the big screen.
Hey guys, small cap world, plasma world specifically today. Let's go to ADMA. These were not easy today off the open if you were looking at any of these. Very, very choppy heading into the open, kind of grinding back to the upside. If you're looking at ADMA, I was using 370 here, which was support initially in the pre-market. That being said, above that was really $4, the next level up. So that was going to be a hard stop, that 370 area for me. I did not like how it was trading down here around 3. There was a lot of buying at 3, kept refreshing and refreshing and refreshing. It still, as you can see, hasn't gotten through this 3 area and volume starting to die down. So that's the reason for getting out of that trade in front of that 3 area. This one was also really, really tough. Took the top off there at 13 right at the open. Had to really be patient with this. I could have got it better out there down around 11, but look at this thing coming right back to life now to the upside. KMDA still in play on the upside. Now this one also really, really tough this morning. Sonic got stopped out of my first position here above that 440. Immediately got back in because those sellers stepped up and just took out bids all the way back down below $4, and then we just started consolidating between 380 and 4. Again, really having trouble trying to get back to the downside, volume dying out as well. So the longer it takes to get below that 380, the less you kind of like any sort of follow through on SONN. I thought I put another one, but GEVO was the other one. Not really doing anything. Definitely got some volume, that GEVO, but just kind of grinding back to the upside, guys.
You know, Brendan, I was actually looking at GEVO myself as well, sort of grinding to that 150 market. I think maybe you could look at a potential break there. I'm not throwing in the towel on Sonnet with the rest of our position, and obviously should be happy with what has been a good short here. And let's zoom in because that wick is ridiculous. Let's try to zoom in here. We talked about this 360 area at the bottom. If it's going to try to test it one more time, it looks like here. And if it does and bounces off of, I'm just going to have to give up the ghost and take whatever might be like a 40 to 50 cent win instead of getting the home run on the last 20% that I was hoping for on Sonnet. I am going to go ahead and slide my stop down to this 405 area on VWAP. Like I said, possibly. I like this STFU exposition. That's what I'm going to go with because, hey, I like that. It's a school word right there, so let's go with exposition. Every time I'm yapping too much instead of trading, I'm doing too much exposition, but not this time in Sonnet. My order is locked and loaded and ready to go on this one. I do want to jump over to Shill. I know I haven't taken a trade in SHLL here, and it is a rocket ship to the upside. You can see the nice little break, holding consolidation a couple of times. Just worth noting, I mean, if it gets any higher, you are looking at about like a 34.65 area as the all-time high, and it's getting very, very close to that. Not there yet, but watch for that as a break as opposed to 34.40. It's getting very close to taking the top off in SHLL. I don't know that we want to miss that party if it happens. So I don't know that I'd like the 34.50 break. I'd go with the actual all-time high in SHLL.
Okay, guys, we're getting closer and closer to getting filled on plug power here. Again, my offer is at 12. It's at 56. Or so in front of 60 there with 1360 on the stop. We are waiting on the other 3 positions to work themselves out, and this one's getting closer and closer to getting filled. What do you got, Brendan?
Another one to look at here, guys. LMFA. Yes, that is also a stock ticker. Little tiny penny stock moving to the upside. Big time volume spike here through to 75 cents. This is a little tiny fintech moving higher. We saw at the end of last week a couple of these little teeny tiny fintechs popping up on volume scanners, but LMFA, guys.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave that one alone. It's a real ticker. Why not, guys? Every now and then, you're going to get a big bounce to the upside on something where you bottom picked. KMDA, we talked about 11 even as our out. I didn't quite get it all out in front of 11 even, but it does break back up. We talked about that pre-market low that it was trying to hold. Yeah, I just got triggered into the long trade, which I did not think would happen at this time of day. I put these in there on the pipe dream that maybe later on in the afternoon, you get a retracement through 12, and then next thing I know, it's happening 10, 15 minutes later. So I'll try to give this one on the way back to like 1170-ish. We already have a nice short on KMDA. It didn't quite get to that $10 range. It bounced off that 11 instead. Now looking to try to break through VWAP here. And again, there's no way I'd probably have this one through 13. I think the top end is its own play usually in the afternoon. So let's see if I can't run this one to like the 50 to 70 range to the upside on KMDA. First long of the day on that name. And I need to get back to IBIO. It's going to be a slower play here, I think. If it holds VWAP, I'll probably be getting this one out on the top end break if it does happen. I already took some in the 15 range. I'd like to get some more out a little bit closer to 210 if I can. It is still sliding to the downside, but volume really starting to taper off here, which tends to favor the retracement. Not guaranteed, but the longer the volume holds down, I think I like this play. Watch for 240. It's not 235. The current high that I'm looking at for a break, it would be 240. We showed you guys that on the daily chart. That's what it's going to be all about, that higher end look there. Arun, you got to tell me what's going on in the futures here, because I see this the NASDAQ looking like it wants to flush again, and it's getting pretty tempting to look at some of these, not necessarily Apple, but maybe even like a Tesla starting to get into one of those trades. What are you thinking on the futures? Tesla's breaking back below, like 1990 here and continuing southbound, guys.
I mean, Tesla's its own little environment, so I'm not going to comment on Tesla. I honestly don't even know how to read Tesla. But in terms of futures, the ES futures, again, 34.10 is the level I'm going to put down if the new highs get put in. So 34.10 is a level to work with if we get through the top. Of course, if we come down and turn around, I'm going to look at 3400 going all the way down to 33.75 as a stop. But the way it's setting up, it looks like it's just going to be one of those grind types of days there. Just a quick update before we go to Brendan. LI, I've dumped this position. The trailing stop was hit just underneath 1640, so I'm out. We're going to move away from the stock. We've made our money just north of 30 cents there. And we're just going to continue on and figure out what to do now. What do you got, Brendan?
Is anyone looking at this CGIX? Neil, you were asking about CGIX's Cancer Genetics. They're teaming up with, or I guess merging with this company, STMONIX, also in the same group. So an oncology company. It's an all-stock transaction. So CGIX, for anyone wondering, 180%. Yeah, this is a little M&A activity on a Monday, guys.
Yeah, sometimes you get M&A action. It feels like, I don't know, in a market that's at its highs, you have a lot of stock transactions. Why not leverage that base there? And we talked about this one maybe trying to hold at $9. It is holding lower than that price. I think if you're shorting this one, got to have a stop in that range. It's a little farther away from where I would have liked an entry. We talked about 30s to 50s. If we get back up there, I'd certainly consider that name. To the south side trade, I want to go back over to American. I did get trailed out of this one, guys. So unfortunately, yeah, it could have. Maybe this is like the worst out of all time when it took back through 13. It's a 1270 break that we have here. You got to have an out. You have to have a target. I was looking maybe at a 1325 anyway. So a winning trade is a winning trade, like I always say. But you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. But I'm going to hit the hot dog action for American Airlines. All about that watch list that we talk about. All of these symbols that are on there, and we talked about the airline space in general. I'm sure Delta probably was just as good of a look as American Airlines. I just want to jump back to AstraZeneca. I am still holding the second short that we had here at 57. It is basing out here at 56 quarter. Much like the first time, it's a shorter consolidation than we had the first time through. But once it does break the low, I really do feel like we have a good shot to retrace a lot of this move. And if we get this break, I think we're getting back into this chop range from Thursday, 56, like 30 to 56.50. That'll give me a bigger win on the last third of this position. So let's go AstraZeneca. I'm already 2 for 2 on this name, looking to make it 3 for 3. Gap fill, retracement play on any positive COVID vaccine news has been a winning strategy, I think, for weeks at a time now. I'm never going to get away from it until it breaks me, guys. You got to stick to what works until it doesn't. And there's a break at 56.75, target 56.40 area on AstraZeneca.
Something I'm keeping an eye on here is Microsoft. It is really kind of going sideways, which could provide a great technical breakout. If we can get through 216 and hold, I think that there's a shot there on Microsoft. Of course, the bottom end of it sits just underneath 212, even though the low isn't there just yet, or even close by. But 212 is an area I keep an eye on. 212 going down to 1150, to 1150. So just keep an eye on that area. Of course, the sideways action today could be a great setup tomorrow. So I'm not gonna discount this type of movement just yet. If we break out, that could be just one of those trades that just really kind of lingers and just keeps on going there. Of course, Plug Power just keeps getting closer and closer, but it won't fill me. So they're backing down again. I'm sitting just above 1255 or so, in front of that 1260 breakout, 1360, and NKLA is not even getting close to it. I know Neil mentioned as well. He likes that 39. He wants to fade it. I'm just going to step in front of it if we ever get back up that high. It is 80 cents away, that initial entry. So that may not even happen soon, but we're okay with this one. AMD, it keeps going up, flirting with that 84.50, but it is turning around. So again, I'm okay with this trade. I took this trade, I committed to that 84.50. I knew what I was looking at. It's one of those things, when you get into a trade, you do have to just be patient with them and let themselves work out, even if they are very close to your stop. Don't cut that trade short. Believe in the trade because you spent all that time making that read. Don't cut that trade short. So if you have a read, if you need to take the hit, but do not let a trade that you spent so much time figuring out and getting out because you think it's about to go bad or whatever the case is. Let it go bad. If it need be, let it go bad. But stick to your guns. When you make a read, just stick to your guns and trust in yourself and your read and your ability to that point to kind of just be patient. It's one of those things you got to learn as a trader too. You learn over time is the patience game, right? And so in the meantime, the market is turning. It is coming back in 15 cents out of the money on AMD, but the market is quickly turning in, not quickly turning in, but it is turning in off those highs. It seems like we are kind of back off those 25s a little bit. So again, if we get back into that 34.10 area, if we take the highs out, 34.10 becomes a level. If we don't, I'm still waiting down at 3400. The reason being, I want to see this kind of volume develop. If we can take the top off, that means I know I can use this volume to support the trade. That's the reason why this 34.10 is entirely dependent on what this market does through that high. So I'm just going to be patient with that one there. Of course, AMD is now backing down. Remember, LI we've moved away from. This trade is cut, and I should actually flip this chart out. And of course, NEO is just going sideways and messing around with me, so I'm okay with this one. That one's at 20 cents at the moment, but that's okay. We made a ton of money on LI. And the other thing too, guys, is position sizing, right? When you take a trade, when you have a setup that you really like, take the shares that you're comfortable with taking. They're not equally sized, so depending on the type of position, the type of risk, they're all going to be allocated differently. Of course, if you make a ton of money there and lose a little bit there, that's okay if the sizes are perfectly fine. What do you got, Brandon?
A few people reportedly this morning having issues with Zoom, unable to log into the actual website to use the service. So Zoom just out saying they've identified the issue and are working on a fix, but a little bit of a negative look here, 2.5% for ZM today, guys.
Trying to take the bottom here just as I look at it. I mean, obviously, if you already have this trade, fantastic. Maybe you take some off. Is just trying to put in that double bottom at 281.50. I want to update you guys on what's going to be another winner, and I did hit the timber, and I'll go with not happening yet. But let's go fall off the earth for IBIO. This is the short that we pointed out on a retracement. Always good to identify in a higher time frame a nice little level to work off of. And we're talking, of course, about this 240. Once I saw it fail through that price, I want to jump into the short. Of course, I did miss the initial one. We did take the second one. Don't cry over spilt milk. Stick to your guns. Find that re-entry point. I just got some out. We talked about a target in front of VWAP. So I did take some out at 210 there. It's a 220 and a 225 area that we were shorting. 24 is the price I have right now. If it does break VWAP, the rest of these, and it's only about 20% of the position, I would look to see if we can't get off in front of 2 even. Get like that 10% kind of return. Not necessarily looking to hit like, 50 penny winner, on a name like this. It's a $2 stock. It's doing good volume. You can take this short retracement trade. As long as you have a level to work from, I think you're going to be good to go on something like this. AstraZeneca still holding, I don't know, only about 40 pennies in the money. I do want a bit more than what we're seeing right here on the pullback. And as much as I say that, it feels like I am being at least a little bit greedy here. We got multiple rollovers on AstraZeneca starting at 57.35. I then took 57s. I'm actually trying to get out after 56.50 break. So overall, you're talking about slightly lower than $1 move that we've played on multiple shorts in. If it does turn at 56.50, I'm likely to aggressively get out here on the way back up and just take it out. Every time it's consolidated, it's given me another entry point to get back into the short trade. So I have to be aware of the fact it's been easy to jump back in case it goes even further. Brendan, what do you got for us?
Apple, guys, trying to bounce here in front of 500. We tested it once already, almost to the number, and bounced quite nicely up to 506. Back to 501 and change right now, but watch 500 here for Apple, guys.
That Apple breakdown towards 500, 502, 506 was the area we were looking at, and then it kind of just bounced around, did a whole lot of like back and forth action that made me a little concerned. But that 506 going up to 510 now, that looks like a really great zone to work with. So what I'm going to do now, if we take 500, of course, I'm going to use 504. So the thing with Apple is because it's been up so much, I don't see this stock really churning that quickly, given the end of the day today is the on record of date for these the share split. So if we take 500, bouncing off this 498 could be a great trade. Of course, towards the 510, there is some action through 506. But the long, I think the setup there is 498, because I would imagine people want to be on record by the end of the day to get that extra little bit in shares. Not that it's that big of a deal for most people, but it is a nice little trade off the 500 to going down to 498. So that's something to keep an eye on there. A 500 break, I would not take it. I personally am not going to take it, but I would like to see if we can bounce off of that going up to 506 or so, going up to the 510. That's the area that would be of concern for me.
Yeah, I want to jump to a name. Certainly, look, we've traded a lot of symbols today. I think some people are usually looking at Sorrento. I just want to make sure we do cover this one. It's down again today. Of course, they had some short sellers coming at them. There's multiple stories here that are worth noting. It's down to 13%, but sort of just going into the higher time frame, I would have expected there's going to be some support down next at like 720, maybe to the 750 range. So if it does continue this flush, it did fall off the table in the pre-market. That's why I didn't have it. I'd be looking at this 850 area for a potential breakdown. It's short sell restricted in Sorrento. That means you can't hit that bid, but the trend sometimes gets pretty good. Bottom picking was a mixed result for me last week, so I don't know that I'm going to be jumping into that in front of anything to the downside. KMDA, I want to get back to. Basically teetering back and forth for me. It was a great short on the morning. Now kind of reversed into a long trade that I didn't think would be happening until a bit later on in the session. So I'm trying to hold off into building anything larger in this position. It is holding this 12 area, at least for the time being. I don't think you want to go with hard stops over in KMDA because the spread opens up to 10, 15 pennies. The liquidity can be a bit dangerous here. So I like areas, see how they trade when they break. Got to get this one down to like the 75 area, like I mentioned, but it doesn't feel like to me this is going to be the runner back to the upside that I anticipated coming back in. So KMDA could be a losing trade for me here. I did have that Apple bounce, which lost, and the other one, another bounce to the upside. KMDA could be a loss. Thankfully, we had a nice win that is paying for it either way. Okay, so just a quick update on AMD. It did try and take towards that 83.50, which is the around 83.44, 83.45 is the low that we put in earlier this morning. If we can't hold past this, or if we bounce off of this one more time, I'm cutting this trade. I don't need to give this trade 90 cents if we can't get through this 50. So right now, it is a little early, but I'm okay doing this. 83.90 is going to be a trailing stop. The reason I'm doing this, because if this is bouncing off this 83.50, mind you, I got short because of that 50 break, right? If I was wrong on that break, that means there's a lot of action below that 50 that's holding this market up, then that break wasn't actually legit. So on the second or the third attempt now, if we can't go past it, if we get back above 83.90, I'm going to cut this trade. I'll walk away with a 30-cent hit. I don't need to give it the 90 cents that I initially had done, because I may have been wrong on that break. So we'll see how this one plays out. We are getting closer and closer. We keep flirting with it. But if this actually goes and breaks, then 83.90 will be the trailing stop anyways. But if it bounces off, I got to cut this trade and walk away because that break may not have been legit. So we'll just see how this one plays out. But 83.90 is a trailing stop. I put it in just to protect myself in case I was wrong with that break, because it doesn't look like it was actually a clean break given the amount of activity we're finding in front of it. And of course, plug power, getting closer, but backing off. We're still waiting on this one there. Brandon, what do you got? Oh no, Brandon's at the big board.
Hey guys, yeah, sector watch time. Let's have a look at the overall S&P 500, see how things are shaping up. 0.8%, 0.75% for the overall S&P. Nicely positive right across this board. The only negativity really coming over in this corner, the little teeny tiny real estate group and also utility stocks to the downside today. There are a few names in the healthcare group that are also in negative territory, but overall, this group actually in positive territory. You can see UHS, X-ray, and MDT offsetting all of the negativity. So that way in positive territory, but only just. Consumer discretionary is leading the market higher. Anytime, we mentioned this early on this morning, anytime you get some positive momentum in the virus-related news field, the retailers and also the travel names going to give you all kinds of strength. So here's Gap, there's Kohl's, Best Buy, TJX, all in positive territory. Gap leading the way there, 6.25% to the upside. Here's all the cruise lines, 9% today for Norwegian Cruise Line, 9.8%. CCL, RCL, there's MGM, The hotels popping up here, Hilton, Las Vegas Sands, Marriott as well, all 2+% in positive territory. So consumer discretionary stocks leading the market higher right now. Industrials also helping. You can see the airlines are here, Dow, UAL, AAL, and Love, all 5 to 8% in positive territory. Boeing over here as well, 5.25% to the upside so far. TXT, HWM, and DE. We mentioned early on Deere with an upgrade today, still holding on to a nice 3% move. Some of the automakers I noticed in positive territory as well. Ford and GM here having nice days. GM 6% to the upside. So overall, we are looking at nicely higher for the market. The banks also providing a little bit of strength. Diversified financials, all but 2 here in positive territory. About 0.75% for the S&P, guys. Back over to you.
Okay, so I just noticed in the chat, someone's like, oh, you said stick to your guns. Yes, but you also have to be open to new information, not being completely rigid. So the thing with sticking to your guns is if a trade is going against you and you're scared of taking a hit, no, stick to your guns. But if the trade is starting to work in the zone that you had thought something was happening, in this case, 83.50 was the break that I was working with, and I had, it had bounced off of that. As we're coming back in, it's starting to hesitate. Well, I'm going to tighten the stop. The reason being, I'm getting new information, right? You do have to be flexible, but not to the point where you're pushing yourself out of trades because you're impatient. So it's a delicate balance between sticking to your guns on the reads that you're making while working with new information as it's coming in. So in this case, AMD as an example, I got on the short on the break here, 83.50. I caught it on the way back up. Of course, 84.50 was a stop. I had no reason to get out. I'm going to let this trade work itself out. But as we're coming back in, and I start to see buying in front of this 83.60, which I had initially thought was going to be the break point. If I'm starting to see buying here, that means I may have been wrong. The reason why I'm open to this new information is because this trade was developed and based entirely on something that was supposed to happen after we got past it. And as the market actually bounced against me, I start to see some buying. And if we're starting to come back into that, I'm starting to see more buying, then that trade was probably wrong. So it's a delicate balance between sticking to your guns and working with the trade setup that you have and being open to the new information, not jumping as soon as you see new information, but being willing to kind of dissect it and see how it's worked itself out. So just understand that it is a delicate balance between the two. You are going to stick to your guns in terms of the trade setup. At the same time, open yourself up to new information in the event that what you thought was supposed to happen past a certain point isn't happening the way it should. So be open to it. I am tightening up the stop. I'm not getting out. I could easily get out right now, but I am tightening up the stop because something should happen through here. And if it doesn't, I don't need to put up the extra 60 cents in risk that I initially wanted to do with that first trade. So just be aware, it is a back and forth between the two of delicate balance between being rigid and being flexible. It's a more of a fluid situation when it comes to trade setups and management. So just be aware of that. It is going to be a back and forth. And of course, Apple, here we go, through 500, going towards this area. Anyone who took a quick break may have squeezed about 30, 40 cents on it. I'm not looking for that. What I'm looking to see is how we work below 500, because I think towards 498, there should be some activity here that should support this trade. Of course, given how today's the day of record for a lot of the holders here, I'm very curious to see how this one closes. And of course, if this runs down, this could be a great buy. But at the same time, I'm not taking this 500 break. I don't like this. I'm not in it for $1 or $2. I want to see, given what we've seen in Apple and how it's moved, this really does have potential.
Jumping over here to Sonnet here, you talked about sticking to your guns, but also taking in new information. I did slide my stop into right here at 405, guys. So we trailed it up. We talked about 360 holding over and over again, but now 405 breaks. So I'm jumping into a scalp long trade. I talked about this sort of 450 area. I try to run this long into that price. It's got to make another test. This is where it rolled over in the pre-market and rolled over at the open. But I'm now long in Sonnet through VWAP at 405. And it's not that I didn't believe in the retracement short, but at some point, you do look at that level holding and say, I'm not going to get the absolute home run on the last bit of those shares. You know, you make sure you lock in a winning trade. 419s into 405 is still a winner for the final quarter of that position. Now we're long side through 05. Brendan, what do you got?
Another one from the medical equipment maker group, guys, just popping up on a volume scanner here. Big volume coming into this one. Ecor, ECOR, 8.6%. Just broke $2 even there on a big pop. This thing has been in play over the past couple of months to the upside. We get these news type of days. Not seeing anything big as far as headlines on this one specifically, but in that medical equipment maker group, guys.
Thank you, Brennan. Just as soon as we're reversed to the long side on Sonnet, we're already taking some out for the quick scalp trade. It's done 30 million shares in volume, so I think you want to jump back and forth if you can, and we have direct market access here at Day Trade the World, so I can jump back and forth from making a trade on a break and hoping to get through that high, at least that opening range high, up to like that 440, 450 mark, but I can also scalp some out there for like 10 cents or so, a smaller win. I won't give this to the low of the day. Ultimately, if it does break down below this like 395, 390 area, I'm likely to take this one off. I do still favor overall the short retracement on this play and this space, at least today, but I'm not going to ignore that kind of price action to give me a quick little win. So Sonnet to the upside there. If it can hold VWAP, we'll hang on to this one a little bit longer for you guys. I do want to jump over to IBIO, which is also pulling back in. And it was a nice short here. Not necessarily the same kind of setup, because it was a little bit more of a stronger move on IBIO off of the open. It continued its push to the upside, but it stalled. And I talked about that 240 level from last week. It's now retesting this 25. I'm going to need to see it hold a higher low. Like I said, once I've taken profit off down to VWAP, I almost always will slide my stop. I don't want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade. Also, I think it's going to be a strong move if it takes the top off. I'm only long through there. I will look at now about a 25 area stop on the rest of my IBIO position. So one short, one long in sort of the small cap pharma space for me. You know, Rune, I'm not going to stand in front of the train on Apple either, but I do want to jump us back to our SPAC trade this morning. You know, well, we didn't actually make a trade in GMHI. Autonomous driving play, we talked about this, how it can be sleepy at times when you do have these announcements. Something very similar happened in a few SPACs that we traded before. I'm just watching this 11 even that we were talking about, you know, maybe a half an hour ago there, Arun. It's retesting 11 on GMHI right now. I do feel like a bounce off this price a second time. Maybe that'll give you the juice and the volume will pick back up here, and then you're catching like 11:30 break, something along those lines. I'm not going to jump in and just long it in front of 11 blindly, but if it holds here and breaks 11:30, that could give you the spike needed to get some buyers involved in this. Yes, it's up 5%, and the volume's pretty good at 5.7. Volatility, however, on GMHI, just not there at this moment, guys, so not that exciting for me. But Sonnet is coming back in, so a good reason why we took some scalp profits off. If it breaks like 90 to 95, we'll have to take that one off for a small hit.
Yeah, you know, GMHI, the volume is lackluster at the very best. So I'm going to kind of take that off my radar. It's not doing what it should have done for me through these 11s, or at least working through these 11s, so not interested in that. And also Plug Power, I think that entry we're very close. We were within 6 cents of getting filled, but I think that trade may have been missed. Given that we're moving towards the 12s and some action, that risk-reward ratio might be a little lopsided if it comes back again. So I may have to wait for this one to settle in before I try to take a short in that area. But I'm going to pull the order on Plug Power and also Plug as well. So I'm going to try to put, the market's gone on that front. So we're going to pull those two orders that were pending, and of course AMD starting to work its way finally after taking us for a ride. And we're going to wait for this one to play out. And in the meantime, Brendan's got money tax.
Hey guys, yeah, let's have a look at currency land for a Monday and see how things are looking so far. Pretty muted, no enormous moves to start the new week, but a little bit of US dollar weakness coming back into play, so you can see a few things higher on the day. Our Canadian dollar here in Canada, not so much down, about 0.25%, 75.7 for the Canadian dollar. You can see we topped out again. End of last week, we were talking about that 76 level for the CAD, but back to the downside. The British British pound also in negative territory. Still some negotiations going on between the UK and the rest of Europe as far as trade is concerned when it comes to Brexit. So the British pound has been under pressure a little bit at the end of last week and looks like continuing into this week, 130.7. The euro is higher though, 0.2%. Japanese yen, Swiss franc, not really doing a lot. Australia, New Zealand also back to the upside today. Again, pretty muted action though, 0.8%, 0.17%. The Turkish lira up 0.5%, and cryptos are positive today. 2 or 3 days in a row, I want to say, we're seeing Ethereum leading the way, 2% here, 404 versus 11,750, up 1% for Bitcoin. Guys, back over to you.
As we see the market slide off primarily in the NASDAQ and the tech space, we're just noticing that NVIDIA holding for the time being 502 is its bottom, but American continues to roll to the upside. That's me right here getting trailed out at 13. Should have maybe gotten back in when it pulled back at 13 and gave you another bounce to the upside. It does have a bit of a feel like it could try to roll over here. It's trying to get back to this 1331 high. You're getting some consolidation up here. So while a lot of people who are thinking FOMO for missing the breakout trade and then see a bit of a flag play here, it's a time that I like to hunt for that quick little short off of that play where some people might get stopped out if it does break back below 13. I can pick something up in a 15 to 20 range, consolidating short. I'm risking the high of day, only 5 or 6 pennies. And then if it breaks 13, you're looking at easily like 15 to 20 cents worth of a win. So first things first, I need to see it sort of slow down, gather itself. Maybe some people start betting into the long play, and they'll be looking very pretty on that one. What is starting to work out again is going to be that Sonnet play. Arun said this, don't get married to a direction, be willing to read the price action. That's what got me the reversal here in Sonnet through VWAP at 405. It just tested this a couple of times. If it didn't break this 405, obviously, I think we're going to get that break of the 360 and get that home run to the short side trade, but it did. We go long off that level break. We scalp some out for 10 cents. I take some out for an 18 penny winner there. Now I'm looking to see if we run the last third up to 450. So nice win over here in Sonnet. I don't necessarily think it's going to be done. I'm just sort of checking back here. It's more like a 460 area before I would take another long trade. So I will get flat through 450. I don't know if I'd take 450 for a clean break. I might have to break 460 as well. But it does feel like Sonnet reversing up 58%, but there's more to the story than that. If you go back into the pre-market here, look, this came off of 560. Massive, massive retracement. So that is a pretty solid bottom that got made at 360, and the reason why I was more than happy to do a bit of a reverse, guys. I am going to look at Zoom in just a little bit here, but wow, this market is absolutely dying. NVIDIA must have crashed. I don't know if it broke. And I didn't get the trade. I did not get triggered through 502 there. And we'll see what did happen. I've got to jump into this party at some point, but the market dying here, Arun.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate one thing. I mentioned to you guys, the only reason the 3410 would become a level is if we took the top off. We did not take the top off, so there's no way I would take 3410 as a level. It was entirely dependent on this market actually continuing on. If anything, 3410 was going to be the trailing stop on the position if you were long already. So what happens now? If we take 3410, that trailing stop would have been hit. That becomes 3425 becomes a new level that's established. That means the top is now put in. Now you've got two decisions to make. You can either go long through 3400 or you can try and find a short using 3425 as a stop. What do you got, Brandon?
Westrock, guys. Nice look here for WRK in New York, up 9%. We're at 31. If you look at the daily chart, that's a big time level, kind of the line in the sand for Westrock. Already up from 2850 to that 31. The New Mexico Education Board taking a stake in this company, the retirement fund for the New Mexico Education Board taking a stake in Westrock here, WRK, guys.
Look, I see a lot of people in the chat like, why is the market falling? It's just worth keeping in mind. Arun always talks about this bit of divergence, of course, between the NASDAQ and the ES. I mean, tech is falling, and the NASDAQ just went negative, like 0.07 here, but we're still actually positive on the ES. Holding 3410. You are seeing some names hold up here. We talked about the positive news with, of course, the fast tracking the vaccine, whatever you want to call it there, with AstraZeneca, and you are seeing the travel space still be to the upside. Carnivals, those types of names are holding, but you are seeing a hard fall here. Zoom, one of the leading names to the downside, of course. Look at that break at 281. I'm just going to point out here, I don't have a trade in Zoom. It's been a good morning. You can see the numbers have been positive for me, but I got a shout out to you guys in the chat for looking at some of these other names. This is what you want in the community, guys. Finding other things to look at. What did we miss? How could we have done better? Certainly when we first talked about Zoom here, just hammering the short the second we talked about that news and it did come out certainly would have been worthwhile. I did just miss an opportunity there of course, NVIDIA talking about 502, although it's holding up a little bit better than some of the other names I'm looking at in the NASDAQ. Sonnet just broke 4 even, so the final third of my position, I went with a break-even stop, taking that one out. I do want to get back to Sorrento here because if it does hold and break, if it does fail to hold 850, I'm not looking at that short. I'd be looking at the 846 short, low of the day, just with clarification in case I messed that up the first time. Not 850, but I'd be looking at an 846 short on Sorrento. That's the low. Okay,
just a couple updates on the positions. I'm going to start with the one that's almost, I'm going to actually end up getting out of fairly quickly if it actually goes through, is NEO. We were long just above 1470 on the breakout. I said I was okay either way if we continued on or we're going to take the hit on this one. Looks like 1435 is going to get hit very quickly. Again, I'm not going to jump out right away. I tend not to jump out right away. I want to see how it reacts as we get through 1435. If we actually continue on, I will get out. Looks like that's going to happen. That's going to be a hit. But on the upside, I'm making my money here, right here. AMD. We held that ride. We're now going through 83. I'm waiting underneath 83 to see how much of a flush we get through in terms of stops. I'm waiting around 1490-ish. In that area or so. If we can react off of that, I'm going to take out half on a profit. Of course, if we can't, it just bounce off that 83. If we can't, of course, 83.20 I'm going to hold on to as the first profit target has been met. If it bounces off, of course. What do you got, Brendan?
Another day, another opportunity, guys, on Grow Generations, GRWG to the downside, 21%. Huge gap, and then a flush as well from 16 in the pre-market down to 13.50. Not seeing news on this, but this thing just went parabolic to the upside to 23. We're back down to 14 now, so a nice look again today. $15 here right off the open was a great opportunity. I wish I saw that. We're down to 13.50 now. Day lows on GRWG, guys.
So, it didn't take very long, but falling off the earth, continuing to fall off the earth is Sorrento, guys. I had just mentioned or reiterated that I like the 46 break instead of 850. Well, if I had just sort of gone with 850, you make an extra couple pennies there. I do take off 1/3. I was able to get actually 46, so fantastic price on the break. I was able to get there. I do take some out for the quick little scalp, and we just had a good question here. Be the third. Good question. How do you measure how much you can scalp on a trade? It's an overall knowledge of the trading range in a stock, and everyone's going to be a little bit different. But I tend to look at a couple of things here. If I'm looking at Sorrento, I'm always considering the previous consolidation range that it just put in. More like it's like an 850 to like an 865. So it's about 15 pennies. So on a break, that's kind of what I'm thinking about for my first leg out. And then after that, I'm looking, what is the day's range? So if I have that data here where I can look at an 850 bottom, into this 9 to 910 area, that's like a 50 to 60 penny range since the open. Let's throw away some of the pre-market on lower volume. 50 to 60 cents is a good target for the rest on the way down. Now that's only if I don't have any key levels when it comes to, the daily chart doesn't show me anything to 720 or so. Or if I was looking at previous week's action, it has been a while since we've been down here, and there's nothing really to see to the bottom end. So I can go with the opening range to give me some targets if I don't have some support levels that I prefer to get out in front of. The obvious caveat I think I'd always say is when you are scalping, I will watch the level too. If I saw a ridiculous bid just jump up at 825, am I going to take something off in front of it for like 15, 20 pennies? Yeah, of course I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I haven't really seen anything on the bid that stood out to me. So a nice breakdown here in Sorrento. We just gave this one to you at 850. Usually I'd be shorting this one a little more heavily off the open. We had too many bangers to hit this morning to sort of be messing around with Sorrento when it wasn't necessarily on our watch list, but definitely piquing my interest with that 850 break.
Okay, so just an update here with AMD. I've actually taken out some in front of 83 even. I didn't like what it was doing. I was willing to wait to see what happened if we got below it. Not the greatest of movements. So I've taken out half, and I'm leaving the remaining as a trailing stop at 83.90. That was the one that we were working with originally. So 83.10 is the first half. And we're going to let the rest of it ride. And in the meantime, Valeria's got the European update.
IAG fell in early trading 0.4%, as UK government said that travelers to France must to self-certify they don't have coronavirus symptoms. Now IAG is up 1.4%. That's all with Europe, and I'll keep you updated. Back to traders.
We talk about not stepping in front of the train sometimes, guys, and you shouldn't do that. It's obviously a dangerous thing to do, but I look at NVAX here. Okay, 117, hard turn. Another $20 move on NVAX that I didn't catch. I mean, you got to be kidding me. It's like, I missed 50% of the plays on NVAX. As much as AstraZeneca was a good play today, good win there. I mean, probably should have had this at some point. I'm looking at this double bottom. It's trying to put it in at that 117, and at some point, when you're down 14%, when you have a $20 move down, I'm going to see if I can't bottom pick. I don't necessarily like it unless we get another, maybe longer consolidation or another bounce off 117 even. You might be able to take a 120 break back to the upside. That looks interesting to me. Let's see if it can't bounce one more time. This does feel like, if it does eventually flush through that low, I'm looking at 116.95. It could get rather ugly on NVAX. We've seen it go down past this price. I think it bounced at 110 the last time it was down here. Brendan, what do you got?
Yeah, just confirming here, guys. TikTok, I mean, there was rumors about this floating around last week at the end of the week, but TikTok has confirmed that they will sue the Trump administration over the threatened U.S. ban, citing there is no security threat and it's all make-believe as far as the security threat that has been pointed at them. So I was just watching Microsoft a little bit. I mean, the overall market coming down, this, not really going to affect the stock at all, but overall, Microsoft just about to go negative on the day anyways, guys.
I just want to touch off on Microsoft. We were talking about that earlier. Microsoft, if it was going sideways, it would be a great setup, whether it's today or tomorrow. The sideways action actually helps the consolidation breakout whenever it happens. So I just want to jump towards Microsoft here on the chart. And you can see that as I pull this up, this is a 5-minute chart. I'm going to pull it up to a 60-minute chart just so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. The fact that we're going sideways like this actually helps the situation. So again, if you take the top off, it helps. The reason it helps is because all this volume that's developed as a sell side volume, when it actually breaks and holds, this ends up being a buy side support. So that's a great look when it comes on sideways. So don't discount stocks that are going sideways for the moment, because they can become great trading setups a couple days down the line. So Microsoft is definitely on the radar now that I know that it's going sideways. It's working 2 days worth of action, 2.5 days. Also the latter half of the 20th as well. So sideways action like this helps out when it actually ends up being a breakout. So Microsoft definitely on the radar for the rest of the week for me. Whenever that breakout happens, I would want to step into it, given that the time frame that I work with. Also, guys, Apple, anyone that was willing to step into Apple, just under 500, good job. This is the area that was a problem. I marked it down to 498. It looks like it flexed a little bit more than 498. But you know what? We knew this was the area, right? This was the area that was consolidated towards the latter half of Friday. So now anything coming under 500, that bounce move, it's great for anyone that's willing to step in. Me personally, I'm not going to step into it just yet. I wanted to see some more activity. I want to set up. I want them to declare a base so that if I'm going to take a trade and I got to put $5 in risk, that I'm actually comfortable doing that given the activity that's confirmed through the here. At the moment, this is just a snapback move. I want them to confirm it, then I'll step in, go long. And in the meantime, AMD, I believe AMD is bouncing back. Let me just run a quick move on AMD. Yeah, it bounced off that 83. We took some profit here. It went all the way up to 40 and is now making its way back towards 83 again. Again, I've already taken half of it out. We've locked in about 50 cents or so. Not ideal, but it is what it is. It needed to be done given the activity that I was seeing at 83. So I wanted more in a risk-reward ratio, but given the information that was given to me at the time, I took half out and let the rest of it ride. Remember, the rest of it, the trailing stop on the rest of it is still 83.90. So the stop is still negative. If I end up taking a loss at 83.90, I'm still going to lose about 27 cents. But that's perfectly okay because that's necessary at the moment to manage this trade and let this trade work itself out. So at the moment, we're going to let this one play itself out. And as you can see on this chart as well, I've got a HARP. It's got no volume, but I like the setup. And I'm okay being stuck in this trade for a few hours if need be, but I do like the movement that it's given. So if it's a grind type of trade that takes the rest of the day, that's okay as well. Just underneath 14 even, I'm stepping in. There's no volume, there's no bid. The bid is, the spread is about 6-7 cents and there's no volume on it. So you got to be a little creative in your entries at that point. You can use dark pools for anyone who has access to dark pools so the volume isn't seen. You have the different venues that you can go through to get volume on stocks like this where there's no liquidity and the spreads are high. But in this point, I am stepping in front of 14 even. 1460 is the stop. I'm being patient with this one because I know this is going to take a while to get filled there. And of course, the futures. Futures has bounced right off that 34.10. Again, same read I've marked off as earlier. 34.25. If we can put a new high in, 34.10 becomes a level. But until that happens, I'm not moving anything at all. If you have a long, you manage it through 34.10, but no entries in front just yet. Of course, if you take the top off, then 34.10 becomes a level, and you look for an entry using that 34.25 area that we've been hesitating in front of for a while now as a support, and 34.10 as a stop there. So for now, NEO, the other thing with NEO, I've cut the trade on NEO. That ended up being a hit. I'm okay with that. It was meant to do something. It did not. It ended up actually selling me or showing me more selling above 1470, which was supposed to be the break point. And yeah, there's more selling up there. I want no part of this, so I'm out of there on NEO. I'll take the hit and walk away and make my money on AMD. That's the only trade I've got at the moment. A short on AMD at 83.63. What do you got there, Neil?
I'm just listening to you drop science. That's all that's happening over here. Look, I am looking at a couple of other names here. It is that time of day that I don't think you want to be throwing away profits. Certainly you've had a couple of missteps. One of them, of course, being Apple. I shouldn't have had Sonnet Premarket. Those are the two hits we have on, but I don't want to throw away the money we have made. I am looking at Tortoise acquisition, Shill, SHLL. That's what I call it, Shill, because it's obvious. I'm looking at this 34 level. You do have a 34.40 top, and I mentioned to you the actual all-time high, 34.67 for a breakout. So the reason I don't like a 34.40 break is 27 pennies to the all-time high, immediate resistance in front of it. I'll take the all-time high break every day of the week over that top break. But I am now thinking about, could it roll over off 34? Maybe it does. Maybe I look at like a 33.50 to the downside, try to run it into VWAP, and maybe hold half of it past that level. You give it to like this 40 at the top end. Not a horrible idea, except look at level 2 here, guys. It's not the greatest amount of liquidity that you're seeing. This is a theme that I'm seeing across the board. So I'm going to have to pay spread on that. So it's almost 1-to-1, the VWAP retracement up to that key level. So if I don't get it closer to 34 as an entry price, I'm not going to like that trade. So forget about the breakdown of 50 because I'm probably paying down to 40 to get it, and then the risk to reward doesn't fit. And that's what we mean about watching for liquidity, looking at the level 2, guys. A trade can look great on the chart, but it just might not be there when you go to actually execute it or try to leverage up and take some more shares. As far as SRNE goes, I still have this one. It's a nice win heading down towards that 8-quarter. And I said if I didn't see size down at 8.25, if I did see size, I would take some out. It did bounce off here a couple of times. So I do think the next third I have to take out in front of the quarter if it comes down again. I have now slid my stop back just past the other side of this 850 mark. I got 46 long, so I'm willing to risk about 5 or 6 cents on this. I would have given it a bit more, but now that it's come in the money, I don't want a winning trade to turn into a losing one. So I am short here, guys, at 46, and I am willing to give it a little bit, but it's got to break this quarter at some point. And we're late to this trade, but I didn't mind the breakdown, the risk reward that it provided. So we're all over that one. And IBIO, I did get some out in front of VWAP again, but the last little bit could be break even at 25s, guys. So that short could also be done. Just watch out for Tortoise acquisition there. If it takes off the top, for me, 34.67, not 34.40 is where I want to go long. I know we're going to be getting to our guest trader segment of the day in just a little bit, guys, but there is one more thing coming up I want to make sure you guys know about. We're going to be dropping another educational video today. It's going to be on chart patterns. Now, these are just our top 3 patterns that we like to look at and educate you guys on like anything else. It doesn't mean it's free money when you look at one of these setups and take them, but certainly understanding how to read the chart and how other traders are looking at it is going to be important. So tune into our Market Wisdom channel for that. That video is dropping towards the end of the show. Valerie will have that link. So it should be another good one. And as always, if you have any suggestions on what we should cover, something we could do better, drop a comment, throw it in the chat, tweet at any of us, and we'll make sure that we get that to you guys. You know what time it is. It's time for our guest trader of the day. Let's go to Brennan with the introductions.
Hey guys, yeah, Monday, that means guest trader of the daytime, brought to you by Lewis Daniels Watches. Everyone coming on July, August, in September, even some of October, getting a beautiful watch from Lewis Daniels Watches. So thank you to them for sponsoring our segment. It has been a pretty good morning so far. Lots of opportunities all over the place this morning with these little pharma stocks. Hyo Yun joining us this morning for the first time on the show as guest trader of the day. Good to have you with us today, Hyo. What have you been looking at this morning?
Honestly, I haven't been looking at anything right now. Pretty much, I just kind of like swing trade. I have a full-time job, so the main thing I do is just I just focus on workhorse lately. I just swing trade that, so it's so consistent. And then I guess wait for it to break out.
Yeah, the market kind of climbing steadily to all-time highs, and now we're kind of grinding even higher this morning, has given you lots of opportunities on the swing side of things as well. Let's get back into market action today. Here's Neil and Arun.
Hey, how's it going, Hugh? Look, first of all, I mean, you're going to come on here and talk about swing trading looking at one stock. So I've traded workhorse before as a day trader. Obviously, it's a bit of a different style here, but I haven't looked at it today. So, my first question to you is what do you see on workhorse today that piques your interest, or maybe has not piqued your interest in terms of a trade? And in that vein, you mentioned only sticking to that name. Is that sort of a hard rule for you? Do you jump around ever, or is it focus on one stock at a time and swing trade that as long as you're profitable?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. So my focus is pretty much to make enough in my account to, I guess, day trade, because you need 25,000. So I just been depositing money, and then in the beginning I was all over the place. So pretty much I just started, and then I watched your show a lot. I've been watching your show, and I'm like, oh, hey, I could do that. so then I was all over the place. I was buying like all these small stocks, any hype I would put into it, and then I ended up losing like money because I was following a lot of hype. And then so now that I kind of I'm pretty consistent, and just I just look at like the main stocks, like pretty consistent stocks, and then when it goes low, I'll just buy it, and then if it drops more, I just buy down, average down, and then eventually it goes back up. It's like most of the stocks I look at, they're pretty consistent. So Microsoft, I'll do like Microsoft, or like Workhorse. Really, I'm focusing on Workhorse because I know Workhorse is gonna be good. I did buy like LCA because I know they're merging.
So I want to jump in for a quick second here, and of course, you see the sponsor. I should have led with this. Make sure you're excited to get this bad boy here, the Lewis Daniels watch, for all of our guests. So look out to see when that does come in. But I want to jump to the chart in Workhorse because you say it's been consistent. I want to sort of drill down what I'm going to assume you mean by that in terms of dip buying. Obviously easier in like a Microsoft, solid company, one of the best of breed. So buying dips easy to figure out there. But Workhorse has had continuous support, like 14 to 15 range every time it's come down. Now,
pretty much.
What I would say to this is it's something I would look at for day trading, and I think it applies to swing trading as well. The more a support gets tested over and over again, it becomes an obvious buy point. I think the less and less I like it. And I think you're seeing that with shallower and shallower bounces on Workhorse each time. Is that something that you're eyeballing? Are you concerned with that? Maybe you don't take as much size each time. What's your approach to seeing that? I mean, it gets to SRNE as it continues to slide. I did get some at 825. 8 even, my next target's another winner there over there. But a Workhorse, what's the idea with that dip buying? Are you getting a little bit less confident?
No, honestly, I'm pretty confident they're going to get the contract with UPS. I mean, I've been keeping up with them. And then, so whenever it goes around, I guess around 15.50, I'll just buy it. And then I'll just keep buying it. And then sometimes it goes below 15, like 15.90 or 14.90. And then that's usually it'll shoot back up. It's been pretty consistent because everybody believes in it. I mean, everybody believes if you keep up with all the research and everything, they have a lot of the patents already, and they pass a lot of the tests. So they're the only electric vehicle for truck, postal service, or whatever. So we're fully electric. So a lot of people believe in it, at least until September, we'll see if they do get the contract, then it's gonna go like crazy. But if they don't, of course, like everybody's gonna bail out.
Yeah,
but right now,
I would just say have a
I'm up
plan.
on it.
Look, as long as you're making money off it, just make sure you have a plan. Like you said, that the news is impending, and you got to be prepared for it. I do want to get back to trading here before we go to Brendan. I'm going to take off the entirety of my Sorrento position here. It's a nice break at 850 that we got, but I'm just sort of seeing a bid step in here, or time and time again at 815. There's another buyer just came in one more time, and I'm likely to look at consolidation and take a break at 8 even anyway. So sliding out at 11 o'clock, not a bad idea. I catch like a 30-cent win on the final third. I'll take that all day, every day on Sorrento as a scalper. Brendan, what do you got?
Gene here, Gene on the NASDAQ just popped up on a few different scanners. You can see lots of volume just coming into this one. Not seeing any headlines on this, but 450, nice little technical break. If you look at the daily time frame, it's been holding this 4 area at the bottom end for better part of 2 months. So starting to break to the upside here for GENE, guys.
Thank you there very much. Gene, a name that I've usually traded before. I do want to jump before I get you, allow you back in here, Arun. I do want to jump back over to Tortoise acquisition. It is once again range-bound trading, bouncing off VWAP, bouncing off 33 to 320, up towards this 34 range. And I think if there's a reasonable way to play this to the short side in front of 34, you really want to get a price as close as possible. But I just want to keep cautioning. 75 bid a second ago, 90 offer, 15 penny spread on this name. So the spreads are getting quite large at this time of day. So I'm trying not to overtrade here because I feel like you get slipped pretty heavily there. Is that something you're noticing as well, Arun?
Yeah, the markets are starting to slow down a little bit. I can see it in the futures too. The volume started to dip off a little bit, but there are some stocks that are moving decently. I mean, apart from the ones that have a ton of headline news that are moving, the ones that Brendan mentions. But mRNA, I'm starting to notice, is starting to really slide here past that 65.50. I wish I had this on my radar. But anything past that 65.50 going down, it is now down to 63.50 and sliding fast. And I got a question now you trade Workhorse, right? And do you look for more active stocks when Workhorse is slow? Or do you only commit to Workhorse? And if that's the case, is there a reason why you only commit to Workhorse? Because I'm just curious.
Yeah, I was going with everything, like with all the hype, like Neo, when Kodak was going crazy. And then like, I was doing like when the airlines, when they drop around around 12 or 11. Okay. But now like, I just want to kind of be consistent. So my goal is pretty much to gain 25,000 in my account. So every month I'll put like 1,000 in, and then I just kind of like buy some consistent stocks that I know that I believe in. Like LCA, I believe in that. Workhorse, like Microsoft. Like right now I'm trying go with stocks that I believe in. Sometimes I do go into hype, and the next electric vehicle that comes out or whatever. But
okay, so
yeah, Robinhood only lets you day trade like 3 times.
Yeah. So when you say, I'm going to dig a little bit more deeper because I want to try to get a better understanding of like your approach to seeing the market and things like that. When you say you believe in it, does that mean because if the chart looks great, or is it like more of a in-depth research on the company itself? Are you, when you say you're swing trading, are you swing trading based on the technical chart, or are you kind of more of an invested in the long-term approach of the company? Because it seems to be back and forth a little bit on the approach. I just want to get more clarification on that there.
It's a little bit, Workhorse is pretty much, and I look at the charts. Like I did try to like study, like I'm still new to it. So I try to study everything. And then, I have a family, so they bother me. So I can't really be consistent, but I try to study like, the patterns and things like that. And then see what, go ahead.
Yeah. Neil, this is going to be interesting. Neil's got his hands on his head. I'm assuming he's got some biotech stock that he missed or gave up on. What do you got there, Neil?
I gave up on. I just talked about giving up on Sorrento. There was a bit of a buyer at 815, and I mentioned if I saw size on Sorrento, I would slide out and look for another place to get it on an 8 break. But this is what happened when it broke that buy area. I mean, one candle sliding right through 810 all the way through 8 even, so no chance to cash that break. I'm not, look, if I see a move like that, I'm not going to chase it all the way down here and just punch short at 790. It was a clean break to the downside, and obviously I should have held on to this position. It is what it is, but I'm not going to have that FOMO and just immediately jump in chasing it too far. It's going to happen to you. Maybe it's a good learning experience here. We get to see this one live, guys. But it's a nice look here. I think you guys are having a fantastic talk, and I think it goes right back into discipline. You talk about trying to get to that mark where you can do a bit more in terms of active day trading. I think having a goal is important. What I would simply suggest is do as much paper trading as you can. Sort of as you're back in the sidelines waiting for entry points into your staple stocks, I think there's always an opportunity to look at some things that are new, develop some strategies, back test, forward test, try to identify key levels, keep an accurate journal. There's lots you can be doing at this stage, I think, where you're at there, Hugh, that you can develop without actually putting capital towards some of those trades. I would take advantage of these active markets, and maybe it can be Sorrento's, it can be some of these other virus-related names that are moving around now, and you can learn a lot because it'll be another fad. 5 months from now, you never really know what's going to be the space that's moving, and you want the skills and tools to be able to evaluate those moves, actively trade them, take advantage of the day trader, and know when to step back as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, go on. Complete your thought there.
Okay, yeah, I mean, your videos are great. I watch them off and on. I haven't seen every single video because I have a full-time job, full-time family, but I mean, yeah, it's great. I love your show. It's a great learning tool, and I love how y'all actually put your positions down here now, because sometimes when I first watched the show, y'all talk so fast, and then I was so lost. And then I was telling your technical guy before he put me on one time. Neil was like, I thought he said go long, and I bought it. I think it was like CCO, and then the next thing I know, that thing just like tanked. And I was like, sell. So, but I love how y'all put the positions on there. I love your show. I love all the tips that y'all give, and I really appreciate everything. But
I'll tell you straight now, obviously we're live trading here, and I think it's been a journey for us, and Sean included when he's here, because as much as we're traders, we're not necessarily on-air personalities, and at times I know we do better at this now of letting you guys know detail what our positions are, but sometimes things do happen a little bit quickly there, and what I'm going to say to that is, if you guys are watching the show, it's worth it to get that watch list and tune in at 9 o'clock, because for something like American Airlines, I'm just using this as an example, this was at 10 o'clock when it broke 1270. I talked about it in the pre-market. This is the level I liked, and I'm going long at that price, and I put my order in to go, but I probably didn't mention it again until it triggered into the long trade. So, it's one of those things where if you are trying to follow along, if you miss out on that preparation, and you should do your own, of course, you can miss some of the levels that we do mention in that little 9 to 937, which I think is valuable. Brennan, what do you got for us?
Okay, so I just want to kind of add to what Neil was saying there. One thing that you guys have to do as people that are watching the show, right? It's one thing to watch the show and understand what we're doing, but always have an understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. We may explain it, but having a strategy that you have developed, whatever that strategy is, it may have come from somewhere else, and then small inputs from other places, our show including. But as the only person that would ever understand the reason you're getting in, the reason you're risking what you're risking, and the reason you're getting out is going to be yourself, right? So if I get into a trade and I'm okay risking $1, I'm perfectly happy. I can sit here and risk $1 and be okay with it. But if you're just getting in with me, you're not going to feel comfortable. You're going to be nervous. You're going to kind of just be itching to get out because that's not something you fully understand. You don't understand the scope of the trade, right? The scope of the trade and the plan and the whole strategy in itself. So watching and then developing a complete strategy around the skills that you have learned is definitely something that everybody that's watching, everybody that is trading needs to do. Critical thinking is an absolute must, and you need to fully understand your strategy ins and outs completely to actually be able to kind of turn this into a career, right? Jumping in and out and following other people, wherever, it doesn't matter if it's on TV or wherever, you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing, and you need to understand why you're doing or they're doing to actually follow. So always, always, always take what they're giving you, wherever it is, take the information you're getting with a grain of salt and try to develop a strategy around it. In the meantime, back to this trade that I've got here, AMD keeps flirting with this 83. Remember, we're short 83.63. We've been patient in front of this 83, waiting for this to break. Of course, the longer it takes, the better it becomes for me. So the stop is now being moved to 83.60, because if we're spending this much time in front of the 83 and won't go, and we're gonna bounce again for the third or fourth time off of this, I don't want any part of it. I wanna lock in profit. I've already locked in my 50 cents. We're gonna see if we can grab some more if the 83s go, of course, but I'm gonna be patient with it. And of course, my strategy is a little bit more fluid in terms of how much risk I put on. I'm also a little bit more patient with my trades, so I understand what I'm doing. I'm gonna put 83.60 as a stop, as a trailing stop, and of course, if 83 goes, that's the trade I'm banking on in this case as I move trades around. And of course, Neil's SRNE just keeps on chugging through these 8 evens there. How do you feel about there, Neil?
I mean, like, this is one of those, this time of day, like, you miss a trade, you miss a trade. I could have had an extra 20, 30 cents there. I think he actually just signed off. We might have just lost him there, so hopefully we can figure that one out, guys. I just want to jump back into IBIO, and I was going to talk about this in terms of, you talk about adjusting your plan there, Arun, and knowing your actual strategy of going on. And you're getting a lot of love there as they get a nice little super chat. They want you on every single day. Well, he'll be here all week, guys. So I think that's going to be fantastic. You know, I look at this top end level, and you know, for me, if you're ever going to be trading counter trend, and I like shorting pullbacks, I like gap ups that I can then fade off of key levels, you're going to be counter trend a lot of times. That's what happens here in IBIO. So I have a first level target. It's going to be down around VWAP, which is also a pre-market breakout price or just in front of it. As it does slide to the upside and keep testing more shallow moves to the downside when it bounces off this 25, I start to say, okay, well, I need to take some more profit out. I don't want it to turn into a losing trade. Eventually, it goes to a break-even stop where I'm no longer willing to just have that last 20% go fade all the way into that 235 high or that 240 level that we looked at from last week. So that's one of the things you got to do. On the initial push, when it's still moving very rapidly, yes, I'll give it more room, because I think if this extends right here, I'm getting, you know, out on a 2-even break, you know, triple the amount of gross win that you're going to have. But as it slides back to the upside when you're counter trend, you have to start thinking about, okay, what's actually happening in the stock? It's fighting it very hard. It's a lot of buying. So I still am going long on a 240 break, and it's all about identifying the higher time frame for that, guys. I know some of you look at that high a day. This is what I'm watching here, a 239 top on Thursday on IBIO. So it's got to break 240 for me. Brennan, what do you got?
A couple of energy names, guys, just popping up here. Keep in mind there are two, not one, but two significant storms right now in the Gulf of Mexico. So some of the energy names coming back to life a little bit this week because we're seeing a little bit of an uptick in oil prices. Halliburton here just breaking day highs on a huge volume spike. And the other one I noticed this morning was Rig. Up a better part of 15%. We had two big down days to end last week, but back to life for RIG as well, guys.
Absolutely. I just want to jump back to some of these other virus names that we get. I think he was trying to come back on here, and hopefully we can get him back on. I just want to say, look, you know, we've had lots of guest traders on the show, guys, and I know I'm seeing some of the comments. It is what it is. But everyone has a different level in their trading journey. I'll tell you this right now. When I started back in 2003, my first 11 days consecutively, I was shut down as a day trader. I lost money every day to my loss limit. And, you know, everyone's at a different point in their career. We can always learn something. I like the fact that he was coming in and sort of not willing to do too many things at once. I find a lot of people will try that. They want to do every single strategy. I've had 4 or 5 different styles of trade that I'll put on a given day, and you work up to that ultimately. I do want to go from there back to KMDA and what was a failed break back to the upside. Possible that I got away from this short too early, maybe, but I was looking at this retest of this sort of pre-market bottom here, and when it did break this, it was a hard turn off 11, which is a level I kind of liked. I was looking at this break back above 1220. I did have a nice little stop here at 1170 to risk, not too much, but it does feel like the trend is continuing. So as much as I tried going into the reverse long, my first gut reaction will be that maybe KMDA is going to continue its retracement play. It is up still 17%, but you're noticing a bit of a downward trend that held VWAP that did wick above that 1220, but really have no continuation of buying above there. So I'd look out if you're still holding a long position for whatever reason. I've only been going, one good short and one bad long. I'm looking at 1135 down here for potential break and then retest that low. 11 break, all over it. I've had the order in the entire time here. 10 even was the previous close. That would be the obvious target on KMDA.
Yeah, for me, AMD finally took that 83 even break, is bouncing back fairly quickly. So that could be a concern. If that was a wash on stops and it comes back into 83, that becomes a problem for me. So I'm going to keep an eye on how this reacts as we come through this 83. They spent a lot of time trying to take it. A quick snap back is a little worrying for me. If we spend time trying to go up and actually turn around, that's great. So 83 even, 83.10, that's an area that I'm going to keep an eye on. We should not snap back above it. Of course, after this 83 even break, at the moment, the trade is 70 cents on the money on the second half. We're going to let this one play itself out. And Neil dropping 2003 at the time he started trading, he says, I am 2006, so he's got three more years and a ton more experience than I do. Of course, we've seen multiple different markets. We've traded quite differently as well. So you're going to see a lot of different approaches that we have, especially with Sean too. Sean's in that range as well, I believe. So a lot of different approaches every time you see us trading here. In the meantime, guys, this harp trade, I try to get into this very quietly because there was next to no volume on this stock. So I try to get in quietly on some dark pools. The stock is gone. There's no volume. I can't sit in the offer given the way it's moving. It needed to happen fairly quickly. I like the trade, but it needed to happen after the trade happened on the break. So given that we've already gone 30 cents since that break, I'm not going to step into the dark pools. I want to see what happens if we bounce back up. That's not one of those trades where I'm willing to kind of just let it go. And of course, SRNE and MRNA are continuing their move. For anyone who likes the scalps, of course, those even numbers are fairly good. The reason why the even numbers end up being pretty good is because stops end up sitting below the even numbers. Or if you go long, you're like, oh, if it breaks even, I'm going to get out. The reason why you take that shot for a lot of breaks is because of stops. It's a run on stops, and you could quickly get in and out on scalps. So for me, I try to stay away from those. For everyone who loves those scalps, though, that's why. If you ever wonder why those even numbers are good, that's why. Because it's a run on stops more often than not. Happens on the futures too, but not to the degree that it happens on stocks because of the volatility aspect of it there. Neil?
Arun, I gotta jump in here. Like, I actually find myself relatively flat right now, and I see the comments. It's like Arun's like the professor. He's sitting back, hunched. I gotta tell you guys a little bit. He won't do this because he's a humble guy. So I gotta tell you a bit about Arun's past as a trader. Sean and I owned our own floor, and all I remember is one of our best traders came and said, "I know a guy. I think he's gonna be pretty good." And Arun walks in, and in the interview, he says, I want to trade the futures. At that time, our floor had 0 successful traders in the futures. It was a completely losing proposition. Sean and I were completely turned off of it. And he sits there and explains the strategy that he was looking at to me. And I was like, really? Okay, you think you can pull this off? And he said, I'm willing to go into simulation mode until this is a definite positive expectancy. Now, I'm not going to talk about how much he made and all this and that. But Arun sat in sim for almost a full year, and the first day that he put a trade on, I can tell you this right now, it was the biggest winning trade our office had that month. And that's the level of discipline that he brings to the table. And I can tell you, I'm not saying you're a robot or the Terminator. I like that as a nickname for you, but we can see what the guys think here. But Arun is the one person where you can never tell if he's in a winner or a loser unless I'm looking at his P&L, because he's always relaxed. He has a strong head on his shoulders. He has a lot of discipline. I think it's something that we can all learn from. I know, Sean is an excitable guy, gets in and out. For me, sometimes I can go back and forth. Everybody has to have their own style. Knowing who you are as a trader is more important, and just be yourself. Know what strengths you want to accentuate, know what weaknesses you have to work on and avoid, but ultimately you don't change yourself completely. You have to find a way to incorporate your strengths and weaknesses into an overall trading plan. But trust me, Arun brings a heck of a lot more discipline than even you guys are aware of. I want to jump back to CGIX, so I just mentioned in the chat, I'm staying away from this short trade here. I know it's a bit range bound, but this is like $1 worth of range on what is redonkulous volume on CGIX. And I feel like, jumping in with size in front of in the short side, in front of VWAP just feels a little crazy to me. I might look for the backs to be broken, and that would be more like a 9 even. So I'd be much more interested in like shorts getting blown out on this cash and stock type deal than fading to the upside, or maybe testing off of 7 even if I could find some size jumping in. But you're talking about 75 million in volume and very muted liquidity here, so scaling up can be tricky. I'm leaning away from CGIX, to be honest with you guys. As much as it's a good opportunity, I much prefer to be jumping back into some Sorrento or KMDA or some Sonnet. I'm not sure your thoughts, Arun. Like, what are you looking at right now?
Yeah, I'm just managing out the position that I have in AMD. It's a cool 90 cents in the money at the moment. Again, that 83 area that we were keeping an eye on, I wanted to see what happened. If we snap back past it, that becomes a concern. Of course, what they did, they came back in, they tested at 83. That activates, that confirms, not activates, that confirms the buying that was there that had turned into resistance now. So 83.10, I'm gonna run a quick tight stop on it just to let this one play out until lunchtime or so. This right now, it looks like it's got potential to continue on. 83.10 locking in 50 cents. That's the way we're gonna let this one go. HARP, of course, is continuing its move, but at this point, like I said, guys, this trade had to be done very quietly, given the spread and the lack of volume on the actual level 2. So I had to do this quietly, couldn't get anything, even though they were trading at the price, but they wouldn't give me the shares because, dark pool priorities and other things that fall into place, but I couldn't get the shares there. But in the meantime, we're gonna just kind of manage this out. There's very little to do. The futures are kind of stuck in that range between, what I'll do, let me just pull up the futures chart because I haven't really touched on this much. It's not doing a whole lot. 34.10 is the top, 34.25 is the top, 34.25 is the top, 34.10 is the bottom. 34.10 was only there as a management position or management level, not an actual level to bounce and take some trades off. If the 34.25 goes, we'll step in, look for some longs, 34.10 on the stop there. In the meantime, Brendan, you got anything else for us to trade?
We mentioned this one earlier on, IBIO, some distant far-off ties with the plasma treatment that everyone's talking about this morning. Just broke day highs here, so 235. We saw this big run up. Took the rest of the morning to get back up there, but IBIO trying to go once again here, guys.
I like this. Dre Frequency, the starting 5 is nuts. Neil, Sean, Arun, Brendan, and Valeria, Team USA roster. I mean, we are in Canada, and Canada has some fantastic ballers. One of them just dropping 50. You might know who that is. I'm kind of curious. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious each position here. As I see you eat the fruit salad there, Mr. Arun, you're obviously the big man in here on the team. If you're going to be the center, I'd like to think that I'm the shooting guard. There it is, fruit salad time. Oh, obviously Sean's not here, and my fruit salad's back at the desk. So Arun, you got to let us know what's in there. What are we getting today? And what's your top fruit?
So I'm going through this here. We got a little bit of watermelon. Nah. Cantaloupe. Nah. But you know what's interesting is I don't know if anyone knows. I'm going to put it to the camera. This fruit here, it's a yellow. Is it called a gooseberry? I think it's called a gooseberry. I've never seen it in a fruit salad, but it's very interesting. It's the first time I've ever seen it, and I don't really care for it. It's too sour.
You don't like? Oh,
no, it's too sour. I don't want this. No. We're going back
I mean,
to
I'm telling you right
Stick with the
now,
watermelon.
Arun, basically a perfect appearance today up until right there, because my daughter absolutely loves those, and I love them too. So if you don't like them, then don't put them in the bowl, because I'll finish them off no problem. And I'm hearing the guys in the back laughing
It was new.
too.
I didn't know what it was. I just tasted it. It is sour. So I am not. I'll leave it for you next time.
Nobody's
you
perfect.
can eat all of them because I'm not a fan. I'm
Well,
going
Brendan,
back to the
maybe
watermelon.
Brendan's perfect, but nobody's perfect.
And the raspberries, actually. The raspberries are pretty good too. So raspberries, watermelon, and a ton of melons. And then you got a few gooseberries. I think they're called gooseberries. There's no kiwi, by the way. I know someone mentioned kiwi. Oh, so it's not a gooseberry. So I don't know what it is then. Somebody tell me what it is, because goldenberry. Gooseberry? Goldenberry? Whatever it is, I don't like it. It's too sour. I'm going to go back to the watermelon. That is my favorite. There's a ton of melons. There's always melons in a fruit salad, just because they love to put them in there. In the meantime, we are actively managing AMD here. AMD's getting back into this 83 even level, 82.90 right now. 83.10 is a trailing stop. So looks like we caught a bid down here in the 75 area. So we'll just leave it as is. Again, the trailing stop is still 83.10. So as this one comes through, this 83 level should hold. Of course, we'll just get out if we need to. 83.50 Our 83.63 is a stop, 83.10 is the exit. We're going to make about 50 cents. We've already locked in half on the 83.10 initially around 10.55. If it comes back up and hits me on the trail stop, we're averaging out a full 50 cents on this trade. It only took a cool, what is this, an hour and 45 minutes for this trade to finally work itself out. But hey, it is what it is. Sometimes they take longer than they need to, but we'll just let themselves work themselves out. Something I want to pay attention to, guys, tomorrow especially, is might not be set up right now, but tomorrow, mRNA, I like this breakout past 65.50. So something I'm going to keep an eye out for tomorrow. What do you got, Brendan?
Another one that's back to an interesting level here. Alibaba, guys, we talked about this reaching all-time highs early on this morning on this push above these pre-market highs off of the open. But we're back to 272.5. We got down to 272 even on this little dip, but back to support once again for Alibaba. I mean, we're still holding this gap to the upside today, so definite room to the downside, but support right now on Baba, guys.
Trying to test that break is IBIO at 242. Need to look to see if it holds that pre-market top at 235 on the way back in for a possible dip buy. I was going to jump to this. I see a lot of you guys talk about Blink charging. We've had some good shorts on it. Not today. It just wasn't on my radar. Very, very similar to what I just saw in SRNE. We had a good short there in Sorrento, but a 680 break. Now a triple bottom here at 650. Look, this stock has been just getting absolutely slammed all the way back through on the 50 period. Possible support maybe $1 from here at like 550 downside. So I wouldn't hesitate to jump in at this 650 break. I mean, the last move last week, that was the absolute bottom that you're looking at, guys. So I think if it catches the 650 bottom break, I would also look at this sort of 640 level from Thursday. You can probably hammer either one of those. I might jump early on Blink. The short's been so good, so I might go 650 to the short side a little bit early on that trade. We're holding on IBIO. I mean, it broke 40s at the top. I got 42s. The pullback didn't quite get to 35, so we talked about this one to the high of the day, the pre-market top, and then why I kind of like the 240 level. Obviously, if you went with the pre-market high break, obviously a good trade for you there. I'll look to take some out in front of 250 if it goes, and then from there, holding all the way to like a 275 area target if it sustains it. But it's got to hold this sort of 235 area on a bit of a pullback and give me some kind of consolidation before I'd add to it. It is 11:43, so sort of worth noting. It is that time of day where breaks can stall out, and sometimes you see 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, the better for the secondary plays. I'll keep that in mind as I look at dips. Not really any news, it looks like, on Blink, just continuing to have its huge fade. It's been like multiple days in a row. You saw there in the daily chart. It just can't seem to find a bottom, and it might not be till $1 from this bottom. So I'll short that low on Blink. We'll see about the pullback on IBIO, but I'm not forcing any trades this time of the day, Arun.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to force any trades, but there are some great trades setting up. Like you mentioned, Blink past 650, I like. Technically, that looks like a multi-day breakdown. So 650 down, 685 is going to be my stop on Blink if we get that break through 650. The other one, I know in the chat someone did jump in just underneath 500 on Apple. Good for you. Great call on that there. We were looking for this area. I was waiting for them to confirm it. Looks like we're going to get the confirmation that I'm going to need for this bounce. I don't see how, given how people need to be on record by the end of the day, I don't see how we can sell this off into the close. If anything, I can see them buying it into the close. I mean, weird things can happen, but in terms of like the reason why it's moving up fast as it is, the whole reason of this move cannot, like, it just baffles me if it actually turns negative and kind of falls apart. I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to be on record on Apple by the end of the day. So I see a lot of buying potential in the future, but at the same time, technically, this is a great setup right off that 500. They bounced, gave me the bottom here. Ignore this big tail. 496 is the bottom. Looks like I couldn't figure out exactly where the buying was. I thought it was around 498, and that's why I was waiting to kind of get a confirmation on where the buying was. But below that 500, there's a ton of buying. That's what I was expecting. The market gave you a nice little bounce as I switched back to the 5-minute chart. Nice little bounce. Looks like 496 and change, just underneath 495.70. That seems to be the low. I'll push that down. 495.50 is going to be the stop. And I'm just going to look for some buys. So find something that makes risk-reward ratio sense. But considering the top is 515, 495.50 is going to be the bottom. So you're looking at about 20 bucks on the range. So anything that fits better in the risk-reward ratios are probably around like 503, 502. Going down to 495 makes sense to me. So this trade has finally set up for the rest of the day for me. So that's the read that I'm going to make on Apple. I really like the way it's been moving. It's finally declared its level. And at the same time, AMD, we're going to get out of this as we go to Brendan.
We got away from some of the cruise lines early on here, guys, but Carnival back to day highs here, 9.5% now, back on volume alert as well. Just went through $16 for CCL, guys.
I did see this, and I know a lot of times, obviously, you know, the members are going to stand out in the chat there, but I did see as someone saying they took their first pre-market trade, and apologies for missing the name. I'll try to get back to it there. And it was on XTNT, and look, this actually is interesting enough because XTNT had a bit of a setup here for what I would be looking for a retracement trade. And just, you know, first things first, you go to a bit of a higher time frame to look at the last time it's had a couple of parabolic moves up. You see shallower stall out, 350, stall out, $3. And then on the retracement, right around this sort of like 165 to 170 area, which oddly enough, is exactly what you see as a failed break top. So like the next closest resistance point is exactly what it gaps up into and then fails once volume comes in when we sit down. You know, if hopefully you're checking in early if you're going to be looking at AP market trading. You should always be watching this price action. This is about 8:30 when it fails at that price and then rolls over. It makes a retest lower high put in here. Those are all signs for me to be looking to fade it. Why? You have obvious level to play off of, whether it's going to be the 65 to 70 area at the top. You did see it on the daily chart, giving you some reason for that level as well. That's a big time sign of weakness. If a stock is going to make a secondary push to the upside, you're likely to see some sustained buying when it bounces. That's not what happens when it goes through that previous bottom at 140. It slides through and then holds it as a short trade, guys. Those telltale signs for me for short entries, and sometimes the best way to think about how to approach your long breakouts, if that's the only direction you can play. I know some of you guys can only go long. Think about what a short seller is going to be doing, or at least in their head. And for me, those are all signs pointing towards a short off of those level breaks. Maybe it's easier for you to catch a break if it tests at the open at 9:30 and can break one of these highs at 165. Sometimes that's a better entry point than just jumping in on the way down when you have short sellers that are going to be involved and looking at potential weakness. I'm finally in Tortoise Acquisition Company. I've been sort of talking about this one, but not engaging in any trades. I was holding off. Look, you guys will look at the top end break here at 34.40. That's a fine trade if you like it. I was waiting to the all-time high break at 67. We do get it there at 75. Will I scalp some off? The only reason the answer is yes is because, look, ultimately, 35 is an obvious level here. It might take it out here on the offer, but I want to take a third out for a 20-cent scalp. I want to see how far we can hold the rest. I want to take some profit. It's a lunchtime break, but it's all-time highs on Tortoise, and we've been waiting for that trade all morning long. So let's go with yeehaw action on Shill, Tortoise, whatever you want to call it. We get 34.75 in. I'm going to hang on to this at least to about 34.30 on the way back if it wants to give me a losing trade. I've already taken some profit on what I'm willing to. Now I just want to see how far we can go. There's no levels to look at up here. If it breaks 35.50, I'm very likely to put a trail in all the way back to either break even or 35 even. But a nice winner here. When we talk about patience, Arun, there were very few things that I really, really loved here. Two of them were top-end breaks. One of them was Tortoise Acquisition. The other one was IBIO that we gave to you off of 240. It's now approaching 250. And like I always say, I just take some off. When you're scalping a $2 stock, yeah, you got to take some off in front of a level like a 250. But IBIO 240 too long. Shill, we took long on that break. There's still winners to be had, but I'm not throwing away all the profits that we had from the morning, guys, by hunting too many trades. There goes IBIO through 250, so nice little banger for our good friend Sean, who's in absentia today. IBIO and SHLL to the upside, guys.
Yeah, for me, Son, someone mentioned in the chat, so I kind of just skipped over there and took a look at the chart. I actually like this breakdown low, 360. I try to put an offer in there. Seems like we need to pay for some locates. So I'm going to try and get some locates in the meantime. But 360, that breakout looks pretty good. I think the stop on this is going to be just past 420. And the reason I choose 420 is because on the 5-minute chart, you're going to see there are some tails here, but there's a lot of activity as well. Ignore the tails because there are some off-market prints there. But 420 seems to be a pretty decent level to put a stop there. 360 through 420. While in the meantime, I'm going to try and get some shorts. And I just cannot believe Apple. That bounce off of Apple, not an easy, it would have been a decent read that needed to be made, but at the same time, that trade has so much potential and I'm looking forward to how this one plays out, especially if it comes back down, because I do want to step into that. And Blink is flirting with that 50, but it's not doing a whole lot. Oh, and the other thing with AMD, guys, I've walked away from AMD. It kind of shot back through this 83.10. I ended up getting out just above 83.20. So 63 short, 83.10 or 11 on the exit on the first half, and 83.21 exit on the second half. So overall, AMD was a great trade for us today. LI was a great trade for us. I think on AMD we made about 45 cents or so on average. On LI we averaged about 35 cents or so, and of course Neo was a loser for 35 cents. So two big winners, one big loser. Net positive at the end of the day. We scratched Uber. So overall, that works out. For me, that's not a whole lot. I know Neil's been taking a ton of trades. The other thing with the way I trade too is I'm not going to really get a chance to trade too many stocks. So it's great that someone's here taking those kind of trades.
I heard you stealing my 420, by the way. I'm just like, I'm not saying you can't do it, because I'm not going to mess with Arun. Obviously, that's going to be true. But it's a good look there. We have a bit of a joke. And it's not like, it's actually really true. I've actually seen just randomly like 420 be a level, and I don't know whether it's you guys making it happen or the market in general, just something that, now that you think about it, you see it all over the place, and it's just psychological. I only have two things on here, guys, and it's usually pretty active for me, but it's all about having those setups. I didn't hit that, by the way. I don't know who did. I'm going to guess it was our control board there, so thanks a lot, Rob. I did mention if SHLL did break 35.50, I would trail it. We just touched literally a high of day at 35.50, so not just yet. If it does trade through that price, I'll look to go with a trailing stop and break even. Hasn't happened yet, so no reason to do it. I want to get you guys back to IBIO. We line them up, we knock them down. I like hitting this key because in real life, I'm actually a terrible bowler, but here I can be pretty good at it. It just tested up. I see a bit of a seller here, both at 58, 59, and 60. So I do tag some more shares out at 57 on our 242 break, so 15-cent win. We initially went short. And as I mentioned here, if you're going to be doing some counter trend trading, you see me go short, small caps all the time. If I'm going to be doing that, I will go counter trend. I have to be able to adjust my plan on the fly. Managed to limit losses here. Our last exit here in the short was, of course, a break even, not even taking a hit, but you got to do that, guys. We do take some out here at 59. I still have about 30% of the position that I will allow to run. I am now going with a better than break even stop. I'll give this one just slightly past 250 on the way back in on a 42 long. So a couple of breakouts that we're very, very patiently waiting for on both Tortoise and IBIO coming to fruition here, guys. It's all about having a plan, but it's all about tuning in early, guys, because we go over all these names on our watch list. You can follow along. We can give you some key levels. So even if they don't trigger right away at 9:30, if they come through later on in the session, you can be prepared. And that's one thing that you guys all want to do in your journey is understand that you might have something you love at like 8 o'clock in the morning or 8:30 in your prep. Nothing happens at 9:30. Nothing happens at 10 o'clock. All of a sudden at 11 o'clock, there's a trade for you on that stock. And do you have the patience to make sure you jump in on that trade? And better yet, are you still alive with arrows in your quiver to take it, guys? That's what it's all about. You got to be alive. You can't get shut down. You can't blow through all your allotted trades in the day if you still have good setups that you want. So both of us getting patient here, and we're paying off with some winners is, there goes Shill. That's what I'm talking about. Some extension to the upside. There you go.
Yeah, it's about, when it comes to trading especially, it's not that you want to take, it's not about volumes of trades, right? It's about accuracy and conviction. So if you're highly accurate, meaning that the trades that you're taking are the right reads, over time you develop that. It's not going to happen right away. But over time you develop the accuracy. But once the accuracy builds, you'll get the confidence, right? And then that just kind of cascades into more and more. And that's just essentially what trading becomes at a certain point. You just be smart about your risk rewards and things like that. So you manage your money better. And Brendan's got some more stocks to help us manage our money.
Yeah, a few minutes ago here, guys. One to maybe put in your back pocket for the afternoon. HPQ here. I didn't see this one in the pre-market or in the morning. You can see it wasn't very active in the pre-market, but there was a couple, one or two downgrades and price target decreases on this one. HPQ 2.9% though to the upside. So no one cares. Clearly 1880, a decent level on the daily chart. Already rejected there once. We break to the upside, might give you another push higher for HPQ. Now, Valeria has a link for you in the chat, our latest educational video out there for you to watch. Yeah, top 3 chart patterns that all the pros are looking at. We'll give you a few that are very, very intricate and a few that are very obvious. Some that you may not think should be on there are on there. So have a look at that, our latest educational video. Valeria has a link for you. Let's have a look at what's coming up as well as far as earnings are concerned. Aftermarket tonight before the open tomorrow. We have a few on here that could be interesting. That Trinity Biotech has been in play lately. Obviously Best Buy as well, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to be looking at, I like Medtronic. I've traded that one whenever it's in play, but Best Buy is going to be the name on watch. But let's not get too far away from that one stock that I could never remember the name of, Finvolution, which was a great trade last week. And, as much as I didn't know anything about the company going into that trade, I think certainly one that's going to be on watch again today. I just want to say here, I just saw a sharp sell on IBIO that caused me to cover everything. One of the things you'll see me look at in parabolic moves is where the turn comes, and if it comes hard enough, I'm now looking for shorts. Well, if I'm looking for a short setup on a parabolic move like that, if I'm long, I'm getting out. So I want to see consolidation off this higher low, possibly getting me something that I can take in front of that high of the day at 270. But it does look like it's shorting time in IBIO. I think we had a great show today. I mean, I can't say enough about Arun doing a fantastic job, and I see so much love in the chat. What I would say to you guys, as always, is if you want to give us the love, one of the best ways you can do that is share it with other traders. Share it with other friends, the program, because I think we can all grow the community together and learn from it. We had a good aggressive trader of the day today who I thought gave a fantastic perspective, because I'll promise you this, guys, you can learn something from traders at any single stage, whether you've been trading 15 years, 20 years, 1 year, a couple of months, a couple of days. There's always something you can learn. You should definitely set your sights high and say to yourself that nothing is above me in terms of lofty goals, but nothing is beneath you. Whether that's paper trading, whether that's going back to basics, I don't care who you are. You always have to be humble in this game because the market is going to humble you. With all of that said, I am very, very excited as for what National Day it is today, because I'm going to lobby very, very hard to make sure that this is my dinner tonight. So my wife is not likely watching, but for me, what National Day it is today is going to be my dinner. But watch out right now. I'm taking a 2:55 break on IBIO if it does come in here, guys. But I think we are almost ready to get what National Day it is. And once we get the thumbs up, let's go right to Valeria.
Hey guys, thank you very much for starting this trading day with us and this week. And welcome all the new subscribers and new members. You're our main inspiration. Guys, please share the link with your friends and post it on social media so we can expand our trading community. And if you didn't like this video yet, please smash the like button right now. Well, happy waffle day, everyone.
Waffles. Oh, I have a story about waffles. I tried to cook waffles the other day, and the waffle maker that I have is not one of those where you flip it. So it ended up being cooked on the outside, it was raw on the inside. It was not a good experience at all. But I need a new waffle maker. But I do love me some waffles there. Better than pancakes, I think.
I am going to second that notion. I mean, waffles, I think it's just easier to do well as opposed to pancakes, so I'm all over them. I'd love them for dinner tonight. But we'll see if that does happen. I'll let you guys know how that goes. But always, one thing I will say, real maple syrup. Right, Brendan?
100%. Yeah. Always. No table syrup, none of that other stuff.
Every day, guys, every day is waffle day, as far as I'm concerned.
That's what I love to hear, guys. Look, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic show. Hope Sean is enjoying his time away on vacation, but Arun doing an unbelievable job filling in. I can't say enough about that. I know you guys are giving him all love in the chat, and that's what it's all about here, guys. We try to do our best for you, but I want you guys to know in our sort of overwhelming desire to educate you guys and grow this in learning experience for our entire community, we are dropping another educational video today. This one on chart patterns. We go over the top 3 that we want to inform you guys. Don't worry, we'll probably do some more later. But if you think there's one you want us to expand on, hey, throw it in the comments section, tweet at us, whatever it might be, we'll get right on it. But check that out on our Market Wisdom channel. Valeria has dropped the link. Time to go down the line. It's 12 o'clock. I wish the day wasn't over. But watch out for IBO. I did get that short there at 254. For Valeria doing a fantastic job like she always does. And for my good friend Arun, who's knocked it out of the water today, replacing Sean, and Brendan Wickens, I'm Neil Roberts. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Trader TV Live. See you tomorrow, guys.